PPI month-over-month number comes in actually flat versus a slight consensus uptick that was expected there. 0.2 to the upside expected again comes in 0.0000 right across the board. Nothing to see here. 2.6% on the year-over-year core number there. Again, PPI on the headline number exactly flat versus a slight uptick expected there. We're also set for more Fed talk coming up later today. Not that that has mattered over the past couple of days, but just be aware there could be some headlines floating around that will move the market. Industrial production utilization coming up at 9:15 this morning. Fed's bar coming up at 10 o'clock, and then it's Wednesday, so we will get some energy data at 10:30 on the oil side today. Natural gas always Thursday. Lots to talk about this morning. There's a market right now trying to get back to the upside. Did like that slight downtick there, it looks like, for PPI. NVDA back in focus here this morning, trying to lead the way once again. Nice day yesterday. Here we go once again, back to 171.20 for NVIDIA this morning. More comments about this China deal to digest. Jensen still over there making friends with anyone and everyone who will talk to him at this point, which I guess is going pretty well, apparently, because he's all smiles once again. Lots of earnings once again. Banks reporting right across the board. JNJ as well to the upside here this morning. Very light volume, though, for JNJ specifically.
Whoever's going to buy his chips is in his good books, Brendo.
Yeah.
And they got
Always.
a lot of people over there, a lot of people that want to buy his chips. So let's talk about the crypto bill that kind of put the kibosh on things yesterday with about 13 different House Republicans holding out initially. Looks like Donald did meet with 12 of them in the Oval Office yesterday, and apparently they've switched their vote, so be on the lookout today. We're talking about the Genius Act, the Clarity Act, and that CBDC ban. Also, as you mentioned, NVIDIA in focus, Meta poaching more talent away from OpenAI with those nine-figure salaries, and ASML guiding lower for 2025, as well as basically saying they don't even know if they're going to grow in 2026. It didn't sell off as aggressively as I thought it would have sold off. I think we're like back to where we were last week. And then B of A removing Amazon from its #1 rating with no reason, Brendo. Kind of a bizarre.
They want to buy more.
Probably.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it usually comes down to. I was just hearing a couple of other things on the B of A story, but yeah, lots of bank earnings. Again, I mean, typically as a group, banks lead the way as far as earnings go when we get back to earnings season, but they don't really do much, and it's not really an exciting trade ever. But good as far as setting the table going into earnings season.
You and I've talked about this. Donald Trump's got a lot on his hand. We've got the tariff, we got the crypto, but again, analysts are scheduling for Q3, Q4 this year to have big bank deregulations that should really help them shore up their balance sheet. Also, Brendo, did you hear about this 401k retirement in private equity?
I did, yeah.
It's nice to have that government babysitter off your back. You know what I mean, telling you what to do with your money.
And not only that, but almost encouraging more, a broader investment scope, which would be great for people as well. That Meta story, I chuckle just because it continues to baffle me how much these guys are getting paid. Yeah, now I think it's up to 2 or 3 $100 million engineers going over to Meta from OpenAI. So hope they're worth it for Zuck. But I mean, he has lots of money to spend. Obi back in for Sean today. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Zuck's got that cash. Zuck gonna be all right, everybody. He'll be fine.
He'll be more than all right.
He'll be more than all right. The market's more than all right. Look at everything's running right now. Like whether it's Nasdaq going back to green, and overnight because of ASMLs, we were looking pretty weak. But NVIDIA's already climbing higher and looking pretty strong. Oh, that crypto move.
It was a bit of a pullback.
Pullback. It was a trap apparently. If you look at core, if you look at Circle, sorry, I almost said core. If you look at Circle, we saw in the afternoon when that vote went against the bill, it was a big flush. But sometimes it's the reaction. It's the reaction that you get. And the first thing you saw was Circle bounce right back almost to where it started to the volume weighted average price. Now it's breaking out. You had ETH, which was on a big rally. And it's frustrating because I was long ETH going into this. It was a nice bounce and a breakout sort of play through the high, and it looked like it was churning. And all of a sudden we had the bad news in the crypto space. But now this is gapping up. So it looks to me like, you know, Trump can get the votes and this will eventually pass. We don't know exactly when it'll be, but it seemed like it was going to be a sell-the event, and it might have trapped some shorts, specifically in Circle. That'll be in play. There's a lot of some individual names running around. Unity's got its own thing going on today with an upgrade. And keep an eye on MP. That's continuing to rally on a bit of a squeeze. But the biggest mover ends up being the Destiny DXYZ OB.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yikes, because that was falling anyways, and now you get
confirmation.
You get some confirmation as
let's say that.
As people talking about. But who wouldn't want the government off your back telling you where you can put your money? And doesn't mean it's good for that DXYZ stock though.
Yeah. I think you made a good point this morning as well, where you were like, okay, now there's I mean, you're always making good points, but this morning I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that angle where I was like, where Neil was like, oh, some of these private companies some of these brokers are now trying to give access to the general public to get involved with private companies. And then you had DXYZ, which was a vehicle which held private companies, one of them being SpaceX as well. So yeah, I have no idea how that's going to really come in or when that's going to come in, but a little bit of a pullback here on DXYZ. We also talk about, oh nice, I see the little,
yeah, I was just
a classic Black Swan event. Okay, and patient, and appreciate your patience as we find it the breakout. I like that. That's fun. Yeah, I want to read that again. I didn't get to catch all of it just yet, but yeah, no, we are doing a little bit of construction around here. But yeah, no, it's coming along pretty well, much faster than anticipated.
It's getting there. It's getting there. But no, to that point, DXYZ. Right, that's the one time I'll say Z. I'll probably say Z most of the time, just because
I like Z.
Canadians are supposed to say Z.
But if you grew up, watching Dragon Ball Z.
No, but
no one said Dragon Ball Z.
Okay, fine.
Come on.
You say Dragon Ball Z, but I would also say if you just grew up with the alphabet song. If you just say nobody, I'll tell you this right now. Canadians, British, whoever it might be that says Z, they can talk all they want about the proper way of saying it, but if you sang the alphabet song, you sang it with a Z when I was a kid, so most of the time that's what I'll say. DXYZ, it's down 15%, but that's actually not even, like it's been bouncing. Like, it went right into a support level and has been bouncing. This is going to be a tricky one. I did pay for locates on this, but it might require a lot of patience to find a point, maybe at the prior support in here to try to catch something, because it's a bigger bounce than I was expecting for sure. So, you know, we'll see what happens with this particular name. Decent volume, there's a lot of extra volume, but this market absolutely loving the fact that we didn't get any scares on inflation. So that's already a good sign there. Let's go back to Brendo.
JNJ, guys, wanted to mention here, from a longer term perspective, this is in a very interesting place. Coming off this report. I mean, this is a weekly chart, obviously, for JNJ. So let's put our swing hats on for a couple of minutes here and talk a little bit about if you're looking for something that is a little bit safer. I mean, the dividend angle we can talk about as well, but 150 underneath us here, a beat on this report. This is a very stable stock. I mean, again, this is a weekly chart, has done nothing for a couple of years. Starting to turn back to the upside here for JNJ off an earnings beat.
Yeah, you get 3 points on this plus for the dividend and JNJ, which is, I guess, some of the appeal in a market like in a booming market like this. Maybe that's not the first thing that's going to excite you. Ooh, but you know what does excite me more than the JNJ dividend?
Some coffee.
Well, I don't own JNJ, so I wouldn't get a dividend. But coffee, Randy.
Thank you.
Do you own JNJ? Do you own any dividend stocks? Okay. Well, I mean, if you're Canadian. Basically, all of our main sectors, like our main sectors here are banks and you know, mining stocks, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of dividend kind of stocks here. What's your favorite?
Canadian or all time?
No, Canadian. Oh, use the Canadian one if you can.
Yeah, I mean,
well, you can say all time.
Way back when, and I worked there. I was holding Bell.
Ooh.
My old man worked for Bell.
My dad worked for Bell too.
And
nice.
I worked there for a couple of years. Got laid off. And the guy that worked at Bell with my dad, he said, I don't know what you're going to do with it, but he goes, check out this little company called Cisco. This is in '98.
Wow. Okay.
And I
Hold on a
went,
second.
In 98.
okay, 98.
That's right before
I know,
the.
I'm dating myself here a little bit. So I went
On the
and
way,
bought this little unknown company called Cisco. And yeah, end of story.
I can't even go.
1998. I mean, I could probably pull up a chart from.
I go with 3 months. 3 months should. There you go.
Yeah.
It's 19. Whatever.
I got 1990s here. Yeah. So split adjusted. If you bought,
But
he gone.
No,
Right?
Randy's good, but you come back to it, or just keep it on Randy's.
Look, this is the split
crazy-
adjusted chart right here,
What's
Randy.
crazy about that
This is a
if you
3-month chart.
If you
Each
look where
candle
you
is
could
3
get
months.
it. Look where you could get it in '98, and then you got it
98.
right back there after in the early 2000s.
Like,
So anyone that
it
missed
sat there for
that
multiple
rally,
years,
you
yeah.
could have had it again. You
Boom.
could have had it again.
Wow. Boom. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
Nice trade.
That's what you need. 98, man. I was in high school.
I mean, this is wild as well. Like just holding through the 01 move as well, right? The 01
Yeah.
move was pretty wild, of course, on Cisco. I was like, oh, you got Cisco in 98. I'm like, that's into the run up, into the 01.
Well,
So,
suffice
yeah,
to
that's
say,
solid.
Suffice to say, JNJ is not doing that.
Yeah, no.
No, but that
JNJ's
being
still
said,
looking
like
good,
there's an accumulation happening in JNJ, I suppose. Like it's the kind of stock that's not going to move a ton, but when it makes a new range, you might be able to do something with it and take advantage of the range-bound trade. So whether it's bouncing off of an obvious low or if it gets above 160, playing a range into the highs at 170, that's what your game is. But that's what seems like is happening on JNJ on the shorter time frame. That said, it's not fair to pull up Cisco on that long of a time frame and then not also like we can like if you pull up JNJ on a monthly, like I'm not saying it looks bad, but if you look at this, like it's definitely a long, boring consolidation. If anything, it's just a slight down channel, barely down channel off the highs for the last couple of years. Like that's. I don't know. It looks like it could be consolidating for a breakout, but it's been a long, boring channel for this stock. If you've held it for years and years, then fine, but it hasn't been doing much for you the last couple.
I mean, I was already on the 3-month chart, so when I pulled up JNJ, I'm like, I should have been buying in 1968 when, of course, split-adjusted prices were about 19 pennies, 16 to 19 pennies. You can see
Why weren't you
over the years. Yeah, I don't know what I was doing in 1968, man. I should have been definitely, dollar cost averaging into some of these fresh stocks here. But yeah, this is a 3-month chart, beautiful consolidation. But today is earnings, so let's take a quick look at what that's up to right now. Again, throwing up that anchored VWAP on top of that, again, volume event right there. You can see it's holding pretty well, a little bit of a strong sell that does come in around 750, holds that anchored VWAP once again. So yeah, I'll be watching this one for sure. A little bit of an uptrend coming into some prior levels from prior week right here. So this is from last Thursday. That high was 159.23. Current pre-market high is sitting at 159.40. So just shy of that prior resistance level, most recent resistance that we've kind of seen. And that again, you can see that it was resistance. We kind of rip up into that level and then sell off aggressively, coming back into it with earnings. I think that makes that breakout potential a little bit better, Neil. So that's why I definitely have it on my watch going to a higher time frame even. You can see this is a bit of a level for this whole consolidation that's stepped down from prior highs as well. So this 159 level definitely going to be interesting today if it can come into play for JNJ.
We were just talking about Ford. It seems like every other week there's more vehicles recalled from Ford. Randy just ran away, but I wanted to get his take on this as well. 694,000 SUVs, and this is the new Bronco Sport and Escape SUVs due to a fuel leak issue that they found in these things. So if you're one of many that have ran out and bought one of those things, gonna have to get it repaired already.
And like you mentioned, we were talking off camera, and the Raptor, a very expensive version of that, Brendo. I really like the car, though. I got to tell you the truth. It's everything I want. I was just telling you off camera. It's a convertible. It's an SUV. It's got everything. So certain vehicles whose fuel injectors may crack and leak inside the engine compartment, which obviously increases the risk of fire. As you mentioned, 694,000 vehicles could be affected. Manufactured between 2021 and 2024. Escape models as well between 2020 and 2022. So the NHTSA says basically these vehicles are equipped with 1.5 liter gasoline turbocharged direct engines. Where's Randy when you need him, I guess? So be on the lookout for that Ford on the way down.
Yeah, we all know Randy's thoughts on this. But I mean, you had a good point talking about the simple stance that this company continues to have, looking to others as leading the way on the EV side of things instead of doing it themselves.
Yeah, Jim Farley, the CEO, Brendo, he was on a podcast not that long ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and the way he talks about some of these Chinese EVs, it's almost that he reveres them. He basically talks about them as being several grades higher or echelons higher than the current American production capacity, and basically just saying, you know, that he didn't say it all so clearly, but they may not be around. And we know that he drives the SU7. He drives the Xiaomi SU7 every day to work. He got one in from China.
Yeah.
He paid the 100% tariffs that you got to pay to bring that car in. So speaks more than words there, that action.
Instead of leading the way and trying to change, just looking to others to do so. Tesla, meanwhile, a little bit of a down day yesterday, guys, but still stuck in this range overall, back and forth, kind of constructive, even above 300.
Yeah, disappointing for Tesla is, the pick that Trump has made might be a little bit, the idea is it might be a little bit critical on autonomous driving, has made some negative comments, or at least had been, let's just say, critical of Tesla in the past. So that was seen as a negative, and Tesla just continued to sell. The bigger thing for Tesla and why the market's up and it's strong, but I have a short in my note for Tesla today, and it's very specific because of what we saw in the 320 level. It wasn't just 2 days ago. Let me go to a 3-minute. You'll see this better on a 3 if I can zoom this out. Like 2 days ago, it was a good long breakout. Like through here, you could have 18s or 19s. I had 19, so obviously 18's better. But just the way that it sold at the 320 level, lots of supply, and then you had continuation, at least until the end of the day, where it bounced. Held that 312 we liked, right? So I came in yesterday with basically the same thing. I was thinking the 312 was your long. The only difference was I didn't like the breakout off the 319 because I felt like it failed last time. So I didn't turn it into the short, but it bounced pretty much exactly around that same level because that was the only trade for me to the long side. And then it just gave it up, especially in the afternoon off this 315, 316. So I'm thinking there's two areas that I like for a short. The supply in here where we took off to the downside, and certainly even if it breaks here, well, it's shown me that 320 level's got a seller. And you look at the 50 and the 200 period in that same range where Tesla on the daily has been failing. And it's just going to be a fade zone for me on Tesla at that price. Until we prove that we got buyers above 320, then I want to be shorting into that area. Like 2 days in a row. When it's gotten there, it's been drastic, the amount of selling that's come into Tesla at that price. So at least for now, in the short run, I mean, long term, look, I still own Tesla. If it gets down to that 220 level that I bought last time, I probably pull the trigger again down there. I'm not really seeing what gets us there in the short term, but certainly right now it's going to be a sell up in that zone.
Yeah, I like that look on Ford as well. I remember bringing this up yesterday, being like, oh boy, Ford is aggressively selling off. I guess he said that around the midday with this strong little flush that we got right at noon, and then pulling back into some of these lows, the weekly prior week's lows right there. We're cracking that local low right here from last Monday, July 7th. That's coming in at $11.50, trading currently at $11.40. You can see we're kind of giving back a little bit of this move. So yeah, let's see. Already in the pre-market, we're getting expanding volume. Look at this relative volume that's cracking through this consolidation low as well. So that's, again, a lot of confirmation for potential continuation. Let's see if off the open the volume can really bring it in and we get some strong opportunities for the continuation trade here on Ford. But yeah, when it comes to Tesla, again, I have had eyes on it. A bit of a chop zone right now, like Brendo pointed out, kind of in this consolidation here. So let's see if it can get anywhere with any sort of distinction on the day today. But it's got a lot lot of headwind here in the 320s. We saw what was happening for the past couple of days, both Monday and Tuesday, a little bit of headwind at that 320s or resistance area. So let's see if we can kind of get past that today. That's what I'll be watching for. If it can get there, then we'll take a look at it. But that forward is definitely a little bit more interesting.
Ooh, I think we're ready for some analyst moves. I know one name that got a big upgrade today or a price target increase. Let's see what else is out there.
There's one sector you're going to notice pretty heavily here, and it is semiconductors, starting with ARM getting an upgrade from BNP Paribas with a $210 price target. Palantir with a $135 price target, still getting upgraded here by Mizuho. Then we have Needham getting upgraded by NVIDIA, $200 price target. We know Jensen, Huang, CEO, currently in China. They're getting very excited about these China chip sales resuming. Same with AMD, which got an upgrade today from Wells Fargo. That's actually trading a little bit lower pre-market. Centene leading things off on the downgrade side of things. They report next week, and they're getting this BofA Securities downgrade. We know this company did have some guidance issues. So that'll be one to watch. CNC. Then we have GTLB, GitLab with a Capital One downgrade. Exane, BNB Paribas again here downgrading Solar Edge. And last but not least, Phillips 66 getting downgraded by Citigroup. Back to you.
So obviously, Unity had a price target increase, everybody. So Unity, but
It's moving.
yeah, they didn't technically get an upgrade. That said, a name on that list that did. Now the chips are in play because, hey, it's NVIDIA's world. We're just living in it. The news we got earlier this morning, you had Jensen on this morning as well, giving us a positive update. And then you get some upgrades in the space. But ARM, I think we can all tell what this looks like. It looks on the daily chart. Yeah, that looks like a bottoming tail candle to me on this little pullback to the 50 period, or at least close to the 50 period. And then you're going to break it on out above 150 resistance. Now, there is possibly overhead resistance into 152.5 that I think you need to break out. This looks pretty constructive. I wasn't looking at NVIDIA, and you know SMCIs was a burner yesterday to the upside. I might actually have ARM on the list. I'll put this one on the if nothing in NVIDIA or SMCI sets up nicely to the long side, then I'll remember that I like ARM above 150. It holds this in the opening range. That seems like a turn to me. All it has to do is break out this channel. I think you've got room to at least the 2.5, and then you get through there off to the races. Kind of slow. It's been a reasonably structured stock where there's no crazy parabolic moves. There've been a lot of healthy pullbacks in its structure. So that's the kind of thing that really is a day trade. If it's off one of those key levels or making a new break, and you got it for a couple of days, it settles down, you take it for a couple of, and then it makes another break and it goes in play again. But it's not something that's in play every day like NVIDIA would be when it comes to ARM.
Yeah, out of those names off the upgrades, the one that stood out to me right away was Palantir. Again, we know that it's been kind of attempting that 150 push. We got a little bit above that yesterday with a 150.61 high. And take a look at this. In the pre-market, currently gapping up a little bit over prior day's close and pushing back up towards prior day's highs as well. We know that coming into the week, we've had some aggressive strength that came in on the open, and we consolidated. So leg consolidation. Guess what I'm looking for? If we can sustainably hold above that 150, then I think I like that for a potential continuation. Don't forget that these are all-time highs, a little bit of a trending stock, trend through that 150 should be interesting if it can, again, hold with any sort of significance. This is already a 30-minute chart. Let's go a little bit higher, and you can see how strong this trend on Palantir has really been. We've actually held above this strong sell-off that we got at that 124s. Structure finally stepping up, higher highs and higher lows. That is some solid strength on Palantir. I'll definitely be looking for any sort of a push through 150 on Palantir today. That upgrade might give us a little bit of oomph.
Oomph. I like it.
So he's saying a very nice note for PLTR price target increase as well, coming off what has been pretty good couple of weeks here for the stock.
Absolutely, Brendo. Breaking through that 150 level yesterday. Let's have a look at PLTR. Basically right at that 150 level. So it's just a matter of time until we make newer highs. Good look for them. Nice upgrade today. We'll keep an eye, Brendo, on PLTR.
Yeah, AMD trying to get going here as well. Was decently strong out of the gate yesterday. Kind of chopped around for the rest of the session, but back above 155 here. A little bit of volume just coming in for AMD.
Wells Fargo giving them an upgrade. I didn't have room for it on the upgrades and downgrades, giving them the nod. And by the way, Brendo, it's not just the H20 that got the nod sell in China. The MI308, AMD's kind of version of the H20, also allowed back. So good possible revenue tailwind for them going with China.
Yeah, at the end of the day, NVIDIA is still leading the way here this morning, guys, but AMD worth keeping an eye on so far this morning.
Yeah, that's sort of the thing. NVIDIA leading the way. AMD, it's going to have to prove it to me after yesterday. Like yesterday at the open, AMD blasted up. It just looked like, okay, this is a typical AMD rally where it gets going and is stronger than NVIDIA at the moment, because in the short term, AMD has a lot of catching up to do when you zoom out the daily here. Like, it's big time break a trend. We're still trying to get back into the, forget about like the highs in July. I mean, the October highs would seem like the next available target for AMD. And it did seem yesterday like it was off to the races. Then what happened? Joe had that short, 158, and it was just lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. So until you can at least chew through this supply at 157, my gut's like, if there was a seller there before, then look for a seller to be there again, and maybe just preference, as I said, some other chip names to the upside. Like, I'll be a little bit more likely to look for, whoops, SMCI is not split adjusted there, to look for continuation in SMCI, which has some nice structure in it, or the leader of the pack, which we all know to be NVIDIA. So like, it was the way in which, like, NVIDIA was so clean off 169. And the difference being, obviously, NVIDIA, a better company, all that kind of good stuff. The difference being with NVIDIA, I liked the fact that it was so well structured that I think we're in a consolidation phase off the top, and I want to go dip buy hunting at that supply zone in around 169, 170 or so. That's going to be the play for myself, at least when it comes to the chip names on the bid. Clearly, ASML is not, like, it's not going to be positive when ASML is concerned about their growth for the next year. You would think that would weigh more on the chips, but ball don't lie, and for now we're holding the bid. I still think that could give us some weakness at the open, which is why I prefer the dip buy into the prior support strategy as opposed to, like, I had 173 breakout all day long. I was looking for that breakout on NVIDIA. I don't know that I'm taking it today unless it's a bit later on in the session.
Yeah, that AMD yesterday was very, very interesting, as well as some beautiful reversions there. Shout out to Joe. Remember that he had a couple of those back to back as it consolidated a little sideways, making those lower highs, but a little bit of a hold on that 155. I'm definitely looking at that prior day high, 158.67. Honestly, I was looking for kind of sellers to step back in, and I think that's well within range as well. Kind of yesterday stepping it down in increments. Let's see, we have those levels a little defined, 156s, 157s. So yeah, a lot of kind of resistance from prior day, but if we can kind of blast through all of those, then yeah, that high day is well within range. Nice little continuation potential off of the gap up. We've held that prior day low pretty well in the pre-market with a nice creeping trend all the way back into yesterday's closing price as well. So yeah, AMD for a potential continuation. It held this double bottom down here at that 142 really, really well. And I think I remember showing this yesterday. I think there was some sort of anchored in and around here that held it pretty well as well. I think it's that 15-minute one. Yeah, exactly. So I think if you're putting an anchored off of, I think there was an event somewhere around here, this double bottom is in confluence with that as well. So a lot of strength. We talked about this yesterday, even though the intraday is looking a little weak yesterday, stepping up on the higher time frame, looking very, very strong. Yes, NVIDIA is the leader, but we saw yesterday AMD was acting distinctly different from the rest of its friends. So let's see if it does more of that today. I'm going to be looking for a continuation, but more than willing to step in with the sellers if they're going to show themselves again like they did yesterday.
All right, we'll jump into everything else we need to know here as we head to 9 o'clock. Again, a few is probably not going to be significant, but a few Fed speakers coming up this morning, 9:45 and then 10 o'clock specifically. couple more later in the day, but let's have a look at the overall market here.
62.84, guys. That's where we closed out yesterday on the ES September contract. So we still haven't really decisively taken that 6,300 point level, despite opening above it yesterday. So for the most part, right now we're basically at 6,300. If we break through 6,300, we're still looking at that same resistance level we talked about yesterday, 6,350. If we continue to sell off, we'll look to that overnight low, just 7 points higher in that 50-point area, 62.57, bro. Brendo, as our support level.
As always, if you have not done so yet, make sure you take a second, jump down to the description of this video. Top link will get you to the sign-up page for the watch list. Comes right to your inbox every day, has everything you need to know on it. That is moving around in the pre-market, a little bit on why, then you come hang out at 8:30. We get you set for the open at 9:30. Let's talk some crypto once again after that down day yesterday. I mean, all eyes on Washington still with all these bills that are allegedly going to do something, but nothing happened yesterday.
No.
Going to be a wait and see here, it looks like, for the rest of the week.
Yeah, and you had some big sell-offs, especially on Circle, down over 7%. Coinbase also took a hit, about 4%, as it didn't pass in the House as a result of a procedural vote. So about 13 House Republicans initially blocked key crypto legislation, voting 223 to 196 against the measure. By evening, though, Trump had met them in the White House, and according to him, 11 of the 12 holdouts have now changed their tune. Speaker Mike Johnson also reportedly joined the call as well and said they'll get the vote in as early as possible. Expect that today. Some of the key pieces of legislation we've been talking about here: the Genius Act, which regulates stablecoins. We're also going to get the Clarity Act. That was already passed in the Senate. It defines whether digital assets either fall under the SEC or the CFTC and as regulated as a commodity. Brendo, also on the table here, the CBDC ban, which would prohibit the Federal Reserve from launching a central bank digital currency. Trump declared the legislation part of Crypto Week. That's what it's being touted as this year. Vital, he says, to U.S. dominance in the crypto industry. And he emphasized the Genius Act would put the Americans light years, according to him, ahead of the Chinese.
It might be crypto 2 weeks by the time they actually get this passed. But IBIT guys coming back in a little bit right now, but still up on the day.
I mean, look, bro, they thought they could take the stock down. They thought they could bring down crypto with a bad vote. But, bro, what really happened is they just trapped some shorts up in here. You know, seriously, like, it feels like this could have been a huge trap. I know it's selling off a little bit here on Bitcoin, but a lot of people are going to, like, you're looking at this, you're looking at Mar, you're looking at MSTR and all that kind of good stuff. I'm going to be more focused on the ETH side today. And it's not just because this is, like, ETHA gapped further, held better, gapped further, and of course, being directly related to the stablecoin game is a little bit more akin to this move. So it's this, it's SBAT, it's Circle. Obviously, there's a lot of headlines to come through, a lot of volatility to be able to play in here. But what I want to see happen, like, I was mad at myself for not buying VWAP in the afternoon on ETH. And I'm willing to sit out down moves and down trends, like SBAT into the prior high, ETH specifically into the prior high. I'm willing to sit that out because I saw what happened early. And when it did the reversion, it was absolutely clean. And then you had a couple of breaks long. So I'm not trying to be, like, I'm not going to try to do anything off the open in crypto. And I find that the open has not been the best spot. I usually find it's after 10 o'clock where you can revert some of these moves. And if we get anything resembling the way this sold, ETH sold the last 30 minutes of the morning show yesterday, then that could bring us back into this prior day high on ETH where I'd be looking to buy. And if you're trading SBAT, I think you're looking for something very similar. I really thought I'd be considering shorts in Circle, and I might still. This is the one. If it's to the downside, Circle's the one. Like, I want to find a place into the short. Circle I probably like around 210 to 212 in here if we get up there for a bit of a fade play. But you got to be really careful with that. I'd rather be looking first. They bought up the dips in the ETH-related names better than they did in most of the other crypto space. So that's where I'm going to be headed if we get another downward push in the crypto game.
Yeah, bro, I really, really like this little bit of a pullback. 16, I was looking for that continuation to come back in, but 16 held pretty well overnight through that event. You can see that we were kind of trending a little bit back up, kind of reclaiming some of the sell-off that we had coming into the week. Again, a lot of I guess hype over the weekend with Bitcoin kind of pushing that 123,231 07s, which is a little, it's a little memey to me, but I like it. 16 hold. Let's see if we can get that continuation still within that consolidation zone from that aggressive stepping that we saw in going into the end of prior week as well. But yeah, interesting stuff. Again, when I click on the little news thing here, I was just like, okay, interesting point here. It says a trader has opened a 40x long position in Bitcoin worth 19.5 million at 117K with a liquidation point at 115. Another trader holds a 40x short position of 2.3 million, which is interesting because, like, yeah, a lot of people are it just tells me a lot of people are placing some strong bets on the Bitcoin move here. But yeah, let's see if we can see some continuations here. That dip was bought up pretty well. So I will be looking at Coinbase. I will be looking at some of these crypto related names. We know Coinbase has been trying to get through that 400 mark and it hasn't been able to for the past 3 trading days. Friday's high kind of in the pre-market coming into that 400 and flushing pretty aggressively. Monday's price action pretty consolidative. And then yesterday we see an attempt through that 400. 471 is the high and a nice little quadunk into the end of the day. If this 400 gets taken out today, oh boy, some prior day participants or sellers may or may not be a little bit sweaty is what I'm looking at as of right now. Currently trading at 392 30s. Now, of course, you also have other names like Mara and Riot and some of the miners as well. And of course, IBIT, not really looking as similar in terms of a setup through like a high like that 400 on coin, but you can see Mara high 2150s, nice little trend up coming into it as well. So yeah, a lot of stuff to watch out for, but I think Coinbase is set up pretty nicely if Bitcoin can give us a little bit of push as well.
That's great analysis, bro.
Thank you, bro.
After the positive news yesterday for NVIDIA, the China angle coming back into play, we get a whole bunch of analysts with opinions on where this thing should be on the back of that. Mizuho, one of them, maintaining outperform. They released, FYI, a whole bunch of moves today. Did Mizuho, NVIDIA, just one of them. 192 though, up another $20 on the back of that headline.
I see it, Brendo, especially if they get that nice tailwind out of China. And that's where Jensen is right now. He delivered remarks at a major supply chain expo out in Beijing. He praised Chinese firms like DeepSeek, Alibaba, Tencent, Minimax, I never heard of that one, Baidu. He emphasized that 1.5 million Chinese developers are currently building on NVIDIA's platform. His comments come a day after NVIDIA said it would resume H20 shipments to China following the U.S. government assurance, but NVIDIA did halt, excuse me here for a second, NVIDIA did halt its shipments to China. He did confirm, though, that the U.S. now has approved licenses for deliveries, and our deliveries are set to restart. And just, you recall, restrictions absolutely slashed NVIDIA's earnings to China by nearly half, contributing about $2.5 billion sales loss in Q2, with a projected $8 billion impact, Brendo, in Q3, with total Q3 revenue still pegged, though, at $45 billion. Huang contrasted China's open source push with the closed models of like your OpenAIs as well as some others in the United States. He highlighted Moonshot's Kimi K2 model, in case you didn't know about that one, Brendo, as an example of Chinese breakthroughs in the open source look.
Of course I knew about Moonshot. Come on. NVIDIA, as we said, guys, leading the semis so far today. Do we go higher once again?
Well, that's what I'm looking for. By the way, didn't that Kimi just recently take down, well, not take down, but beat up OpenAI in some coding tests, at least in a couple of metrics. So, hey, man, they're making some progress. And they need to continue to do so. They need them chips. They need those NVIDIA goods, right? Like, here's the thing. I'm a big fan of The Wire. I'm a huge fan of The Wire. And, you know, it reminds me of, you know, if you've never seen The Wire, look, man, it's a crime show in Baltimore where, like, the main players are, like, drug dealers and the cops and all that kind of good stuff. And all you remember about that is when they talk about you got to get that good package out there, and it doesn't. And Stringer Bell's like, yo, we got that best package. They're gonna come to us. We don't have to hold. It doesn't matter what corner we hold. They're gonna come to us. NVIDIA is like the Barksdale crew in season 1. They've got the best, and they understand it, and they know it, and the demand is going to be there. Period. And on top of that, they can get away with charging a boatload, and which makes their margins fantastic, and others can come with a cheaper price point because you're stuck in the ecosystem once you've been training your models with them. They've got you. They got you. Y'all, like, it's just, all these companies are like bubbles. You watch The Wire?
No, I have not watched.
All right, so you don't know Bubs. You're gonna watch The Wire someday, and it's gonna change your life. But as far as that concerns, so I love NVIDIA. I really did say I do prefer trying to find this dip buy here, and I've talked myself into it. I am going to take the breakout. I wasn't going to. I'm like, yeah, I was only looking at that dip buy, and yesterday, we went for the dips, but it never broke. It never broke out this top, so it doesn't really matter. And I had that order sitting for most of the time. I'm gonna throw it in there again as well. And good question in the chat from Slippo Sunshine. Where's Wallace? Strang, where's Wallace? That scene gets me every single time. Great show. Great show, Oldie.
Okay, I'll check it out. I've you know what? I never watched Office for the longest time, and people were like, "You need to watch this." And once I started, I kind of like binged a good chunk of it right through, and it was surprising to me. Yeah, no, I'll definitely take you on that. 172.81 highs from prior day, right? So a little bit of a gap up yesterday, still holding that gap coming into the pre-market today, which is very interesting to me. I know Neil pointed out that 169 hold as well. That was very peculiar in the pre-market. Again, giving us a potential indication that yes, there might be a little bit of demand still sitting here from yesterday, twice, and then once again today in the pre-market. So yeah, let's see if we can get through that 172.81. Of course, market tailwind determined. It could be very determining by the market tailwind is what I'm trying to say. Yesterday, you had the ES kind of trending down and the Nasdaq kind of choppy on the side. So we see that action reflected here on NVIDIA. But yeah, I'm looking for that leg consolidation, leg potential here on NVIDIA. So that high of prior day, and even that pre-market high, 172.81, is very interesting. But the intraday high from yesterday is 172 halves area. So yeah, in that zone, let's see if the chips can take us through the rest of the week with some strength. So NVIDIA definitely going to be watching that. We'll see what happens.
Just be aware, if you're following some of these banks after reporting this morning, some still have earnings calls on. BAC, one of those right now, I was just hearing it's flying around here. Well, not flying around, but moving around ever so slightly around this 46.50. But CFO currently speaking on the call here, the CEO, Brian Moynihan, saying business case for stablecoin is yet to be proven. Legal clarity on stablecoin. I like how they're asking questions about stablecoin during the BAC earnings call. Right. But anyways, the call's still on, but I mean, not really much happening as far as the stock is concerned. When it comes down to it, better than expected earnings though. Right across the board here for BAC.
Absolutely, Brendo. Good for all these banks. I'm going to cover Goldman just because of the investment banking and the deal making that's really picked up in 2025. That was basically dormant last year. Q2 profit for Goldman, Brendo, up 22% year over year, easily beating the street's expectations. Likewise with EPS, 10.91 a share, beating that 9.69. Revenue climbed as well, 15% year over year, to about 14.58 billion, well ahead of the 13.58. So $1 billion beat there on revenue. That's a hell of a beat. Trading revenue also surged 22% year over year, really helping offset early quarter softness in deal making. Increased client activity though now around Trump's tariffs driven the market volatility did boost the trading desk volume as well as profits. Clients repositioned their portfolios amid macro risks, giving banks like Goldman and JP Morgan a nice revenue map. And Goldman's investment banking really picking up here, jumped about 26% year over year, led by strong advisory fee generation, while global deal count did drop 12% year over year. The total deal value, though, Brendo, rose 27%, with larger deals over $500 million, seeing more activity, especially from tech and financial sectors. Kind of not surprised by that at all. Deal-making momentum seen continuing into Q3 this year, as aided by political volatility as well as the tariffs, and private equity firms, Brendo, face pressure to exit investments, driving deal volume and pricing, premium pricing.
On that front as well, Morgan Stanley earnings call currently on as well. The CFO saying their IPO pipeline is balanced between Americas and Asia. M&A backlog continues to build across regions, expects stable net interest income across Q3. So echoing those sentiments. Morgan, however, downside so far, guys.
Yeah, if there's one that feels short today, it's looking like it's Morgan. You want, with the call, I've been through this before, with the earnings calls, the banks in the morning, you want it to settle down after they've all had their calls. But this is double tapped the top and is now breaking a support level. If it opens underneath 141, it would be it's like a classic like continuation short off of these highs back into about 135-ish. I'm more inclined to want to be like you want to be bullish. Like I feel like I want to be bullish. So if I trade a bank today, I want it to be Citigroup, because if you just looked at yesterday's, it's not like Wells had a bad report. There's just a couple things that would go wrong with it, and they were nasty. And then J.P. Morgan had a good report, and then it was blah. It was kind of flat, slightly downward trend. And then Citigroup, which I don't know that it was that much better, but it didn't really make a difference. It broke out and made a new fresh high. So that's the one I'd look for some continuation, maybe looking at that opening range back into the 90 area or so on Citi. So I'll probably sit them out, at least Morgan Stanley, until we get an opening range on it, and then might take a better look. But if I do trade something, it'd be show me any weakness in Citigroup, and the opening range high was about $90. It wasn't high enough on the list to make the note, but of the banks, it's the one that I'm looking at because it broke into a new price area to the upside, so it gives you that continuation breakout.
Yeah, no, I like that look on Citigroup, Neil. It is one of the only ones that kind of showed that strength, distinctly different in the banking space from what everything else was doing yesterday. But today I got BAC on watch, a little bit of an anchored coming in off of that report, that volume spike a little bit there. So just consolidating around a VWAP as of right now, intraday VWAP as well. So going to be patient, like Neil said, wait for that call to kind of finish, and then price action to also settle down, let some opening volume come in to take a potential move on this. But initial reaction was pretty decent. I was like, oh, okay, we're going to gap up a little bit above prior day's levels, but guess what? We kind of come right back in on BAC. Bigger picture, we've been downtrending as of recent times this month, going into these earnings, and an attempt at some more local highs at that 47 was made off of that earnings report. So let's see if we can kind of reclaim some of those levels, or do we just continue the higher, a little bit of a higher time frame sell-off that we've been seeing now, going up to an even higher time frame. 3 hours right here, you can see that is distinctly different, right? Shorter time frame, we're coming down, but even go a little bit higher, we've been bidding up with higher highs and higher lows. So yeah, that's what I'm watching. Higher time frame always is going to trump much shorter time frames for me, but let's see if we can catch any sort of opportunities here on BAC. And Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs also reported this morning. So Goldman Sachs kind of giving it all back up. I had this name as well on watch for that push up. I was watching it earlier on this morning around 7:30, 8 o'clock, but it's been giving back a decent chunk. Beautiful reversion as well in the pre-market of that reaction on Goldman Sachs. And then Morgan Stanley, yeah, a little bit poised for the downside. Again, I think I have a similar idea as Neil. On this one, it does look like it is attempting to break some of this prior structure, some supports from earlier. We attempted to push this 140, only got up to 145, so that's nice. And then pulling back into what seems like some prior support as well, all the way down at 135. So let's see what Morgan Stanley and some of these banks have in store for us. I am watching all of them in my basket. We'll see if they do what we're looking for.
A long time. Yeah. We're just talking about Cathie Wood and Unity. Jeffrey's with a positive note here for you. I was just double checking here. ARC's average price is $29 on this thing, which is literally right there. So she's either been holding it for a long, long time, significantly underwater, or just got back in.
Yeah, she's in the money now. Not that much though, Brando. 32.15 is where it's currently trading at. Yeah, Jeffrey's giving them the nod today, boosting the price target up from 29 to 35. They like what they're calling the vector. Where is it there? The vector model in for their digital advertising. It basically uses AI and helps generate ads based on the user preference. So good look there. Also separately, just for myself, I was telling Brando off camera. I mean, I use Duolingo, and inside Duolingo there's ads because I don't have the paid version, and those ads are made by Unity. And the cool thing about these ads is when they're games, you can actually play the game itself, try it out inside the ad. So I don't actually have to go and download it. And even if you're not going to download it, it's better to actually play the ad for 30 seconds, 20 seconds, rather than just watching the video there and dying slowly.
You said it, I didn't. I just went back to the past couple of days here. I mean, she's been buying Coinbase, she's been buying Tesla and selling Roku, but there's nothing on here anywhere in the past couple of weeks here for Unity. So
interesting.
Back to in the money, guys, for Cathie Wood.
I just can't believe. I thought she was in this. She's been in this for a while. Like I thought she liked it the whole time, and I'm trying to wrap my head around how, if you've been a buyer of this a lot, unless it was only at the bottoms magically, how could you have a 29 price? Like if you were DCAing and you liked it anywhere in the first 2 years. Anyways, it doesn't really matter what Cathie Wood has. Let's just talk about the stock. 29 is her price. That's remarkably good. Maybe she just loaded to, averaged in like crazy at the bottom, which I guess would obviously be working out right now. Look, it's breaking out, higher time frame. There's your 31, wick high action. It's got a decent sized short flow, maybe not as big as it was back in the day when this was, as you saw in that chart from a couple of years ago, when this was much, much higher than this. So you're not talking about all-time highs here with Unity. You're just talking about some local highs. And 31 is now, it's a bit of a memory in that if we pull back there, you've got a few points. You got like 3 points to come back in. Well, that's the area that I'm looking for to be able to hold for a continuation play. Now, VWAP's going to stand in front at the open, so anytime I'm looking for a continuation long, it goes there first, and then into that 31 area. And before I throw you over to you, Obi, Zimbabwe with the super chat. Love the name. Good one. That's creative. Y'all ever enter a bad price and then just stare at the computer and scream, "I command you to grow," and everything turns around? Crazy what the mind is capable of. I can tell you all of the tricks that I've seen traders do over the years to get a stock to go up. I've seen a trader hit his screen to make it go down. He hits the top, or hit the bottom for it to go up. Obviously, that never worked. I've seen, every once in a while, jokes, I'll just try to move it with the force. That doesn't work either. Yelling, "I command you to grow." Maybe look, we'll see. Just for jokes, when I'm in a long at some point today, I'll yell that out and see if anything happens. Nothing will happen. Trust me, nothing will happen. And if it does, then I will start freaking out. But thanks for the super chat. That's a fun one there. But clearly, the market's going to do what the market's going to do. It doesn't care about your position unless you're just that big of a whale.
Yeah. So, guys, VinFast. VinFast is ramping up its India expansion, partnering with 13 major dealer groups to open 32 dealerships across 27 cities, including Delhi, Bengaluru, Hyderabad, and Kolkata. The Vietnamese EV maker is building a strong sales, service, and spares network ahead of the July 15th pre-booking launch for its VF6 and VF7 electric SUVs. They're targeting 35 dealerships by year-end, with a CKD facility set to open later this month in India. VinFast trades under the ticker VFS on the Nasdaq, so check them out. Some solid vehicles there. But yeah, no, Unity, interestingly enough, doing some increasing relative volume 13 times. Oh boy, and if you're telling me that Miss Wood's average is 29, oh boy, finally in the money, it would seem, on this one, an aggressive strength coming in as well. So yeah, definitely going to be watching this one. Higher time frame, 3 hours. Let's go check out what kind of breakouts we're doing in the pre-market. Right away, I'm seeing this level 30.78. So this consolidation that we've been holding for a greater part of all of last year and a good chunk of this year, finally catching a little bit of a curl here. I kind of want to go up a little bit higher and see what we have in store looking left, if there are any levels of resistance that we might face. So you can see already strong volume week, red week right here. What is the high, you may ask, of that week? 33.43. So okay, so let's see if we can get past this 33 halves. That potentially a little bit of a first stop if we're going to continue to push a little bit higher. So yeah, prior support and resistance levels definitely going to be on watch. And again, this prior high that we're breaking out of currently in the pre-market is sitting at $30.88. So any sort of pullback, let's see if that resistance actually turns into support going on Unity today. But interesting is the relative volume that it's doing coming into the open. Some aggressive strength on that one. And again, you said it was a price upgrade as well. Don't forget that there are 318 shares float and almost a 13 billion market cap on this one. So yeah, pretty strong. Kind of down in the dumps from where it came from, but it seems like finally catching a little bit of a curl. Let's see how far Unity can get.
The moon?
NJ to the moon as well, just took out the highs here. Not typically a stock that we look at tremendously anyways on the show, only really around earnings. Better than expected results, specifically from the drug side of the business, coming through for JNJ, raising their forecast as well. Looks pretty good today.
Feels like the company is kind of like on the other side of that cancer lawsuit with the baby powder now, and they're just kind of focusing on this. It was a really good report, guys. Let's talk about it. So they easily beat here in Q2 2025 expectations, $23.7 billion in revenue. That's a 6% bump year over year, as well as $2.82 in EPS, exceeding Wall Street's expectations. They raised their full year 2025 guidance, now expecting about $91.33 billion in sales and about $10.63 earnings per share there, up from the prior guidance of about $91 billion, 91 to 91.8 and 1050 to 1070 EPS. Management really citing favorable Forex and strong operational cost efficiencies as some of the reasons for the shoring up of some costs. And where they made the money, innovative medicine, Brendo, that brought in a lot of money, $15.2 billion, growing at about a 5% year over year CAGR, and beating estimates handily there by $840 million. Some of the drugs you can see there on the screen. I'm not going to try and pronounce them, but you can screenshot that if you'd like. MedTech, also another good division for them, Brendo, brought in $8.5 billion. That's a 7% year over year bump on that category. And some of the market sentiment and the analyst take here. Hagerston BioHealth noted that J&J's diversification and steady growth could make it a resilient amid macro headwinds, and J&J may see tailwinds, Brendo, into the second half of 2025 from product launches, reduced pricing pressure, and fewer, hopefully for them anyway, policy disruptions.
I'll stick to my original argument here this morning on J&J. This is at an interesting spot if you want to add this to a long-term account as well, giving it $5 or $6 even. With momentum like this coming back in, guys, looks pretty good here for J&J.
Yeah, like if you were looking for somewhere to add like a dividend player to your portfolio, I would agree with you right there. For the day trade, I'll just throw it right over because I know I'm not looking at J&J for a day trade. I agree with Brendan on that front, but I know you're looking at this specifically for a trade.
Yeah, definitely. It's already, I mean, in the pre-market, I was like, all right, we're holding that anchored VWAP relatively well. Sure, we've violated a couple of times, but what's interesting to me is like, yeah, I was going to look for that opportunity for a little bit of a dip coming off the open. We're already breaking that 59 high currently in the pre-market, that more local high that we've been seeing on J&J. Strong relative volume, again, on an earnings day. So let's quickly take a look at some of these indicators that I have on anchored VWAP off the event. A little bit of a trend happening here in the pre-market as well. Pretty clean. Every kind of strong dip getting bought up and that buying pressure coming in off of the open. So yeah, not really what I was looking for right away, but it did kind of do what I was looking for in the pre-market. And that's the thing sometimes. Sometimes what you're looking for is going to happen in a time frame or at a time that you're not expecting at, but the price action itself is definitely following through with respect to what I was looking for. But let's see if it's going to give us more of the same. That might have been it. 159.90s is the current high on JNJ, and that prior high again. Let's see if that resistance turns into support. That's sitting at 159.23s. Higher time frame look at this. Again, 3-hour chart right here. Let's take off all of these indicators. You can see we're breaking out of a much higher time frame, kind of a multi-month resistance that's been holding in and around, what is that, 159 once again. So we're seeing that level. And look, that was resistance, that was support. So again, a significant level coming in at that 159, in my opinion, just based off of more recent support and resistance levels that have been pointed out to us by the chart itself. Prior highs, I don't know if we're going to get all the way to 165s, but well within a range of what JNJ can do. Currently, the spread is pretty nasty. It's been like 50 pennies to a dollar at times in the pre-market session. So yeah, gotta be a little bit safe with that one. Let it settle down, and let's see if we can capture any sort of opportunities on this one, Neil. We only got about 20 seconds left, so good luck to everybody off of the open during the morning session. And yes, sir. So yeah.
And let's get the opening bell here. It's hump day. Adair is going to ring it for us in 5. There were no significant bounces, by the way, so that's why we didn't show them. But let's get this party started. And that was quite the aggressive bell ring. Why? Because this market is off to the races. Get it, Adair. As I said, there were no real big imbalances. Joby, by the way, we didn't get to Joby. Joby with a late break right into the open. And oh my goodness, I was just about to tell you there was size at 15. Well, yeah, there was some people selling the 15s on Joby. Tesla in here trying to bounce. I like this one fade about the 316 and the 320 level. NVDA is going to be on play for me. It's one of those situations where I like both the dip and the break. And the break is off of the resistance yesterday. So that's what I'm waiting for here in NVIDIA. Nothing really setting up just yet. I looked over at Unity to see what it's doing, or I looked up at Unity. And yeah, kind of inside the opening range, kind of hoping for that 31 dip. No dip there on Unity. We didn't look at that DXYZ also. DXYZ still on its recovery. I think I'm waiting till 35 to make a decision on that, as it's barely moving.
Yeah, this market taking an aggressive pullback here just off of the open, but Palantir, oh boy, there it is through that 150 instantly. I looked away at the futures for 1 second. We were trading in 149 halves, and I was like, all right, I kind of like this, but we just come in and clip that 150 pretty aggressively. Let's see if we can get going through this 150 here. Okay, so yeah, holding it pretty well. It's kind of chopping and churning around there. Let's see if we can sustainably hold that 150. Like I said, prior day high coming in at that 150. 60s, 150 halves. So yeah, some strength coming in right off of the open, distinctly different from that of the futures. You can see both the Nasdaq and the ES taking a little bit of a breather coming in on the day. Wow, JNJ was the one, man. And Amazon with a little bit of a tank city. I'm seeing that as well. Okay, all right. So I guess that one a little bit of an interesting push to the downside as well.
You know who that is.
Now some size showing up at 149 highs on Palantir. So yeah, that aggressive push of that 150. What's going on?
That's Denzel Washington says that all the time. Okay, all right, okay. It's like one of the things that he says in almost all of his roles. So the second you said it, it was in my head. I know you said J&J is the one.
Yep.
Napa. I speak a little bit of French.
Oh, Unity.
Unity. Yeah, so I did this yesterday as well. I forget which stock it was, where I don't know if we're aggressive enough on the break of the 50. Because I crossed it to, and this is like, the only reason I'm telling you what I crossed it to is to let you know that I didn't get filled. I crossed it to like 63 on a 50 break. I feel like that should have been good enough, but didn't get the break on Unity. Obviously, it never dipped into 31.5 either. Tesla's still not doing a heck of a lot yet. It's getting close to that 316 with the market coming in, but Unity absolutely off to the races. Maybe this is gonna give a little bit of classic dip after that break, and we can maybe play into the opening range bottom or the prior high here. Not seeing a heck of a lot with this market coming down that's super, super strong outside of Unity and a little bit of Tesla, but worth noting that you've got IBIT, or Bitcoin at least, holding up, despite the fact that the market's pulling back in a little bit here. I know we got a super chat in there. I'm not in any position, so I can be a little bit patient with it. I think my last super chat was missed. You're right. Sorry about that. NUWE at the open. When there's my head's on a swivel here for the names that I'm going to be trading, but we did not get to that, and apologies for not getting to it. NUE is halted with a $22 tap. That means the theoretical auction price, if they open it right now, would be $22 off the page, as this is halted right away off of the open. Suffice to say, this is not an early play on this. This was literally a penny stock before, so be careful with it. Likely to have multiple halts, no questions asked. But the first one looking very good. 22 tap. Should be a 5-minute halt because it's simply a volatility halt. If it's longer than 5 minutes, then that, of course, means it's likely a 10-minute halt.
Yeah, no, this 150, I guess we did get a push up into those 150 halves as of right now on Palantir. Pulling back in, VWAP's all the way down into 149s. I'm going to give it a little bit of room here. Let's see, again, can it hold? Oh boy, there's a flush on the Nasdaq, so that's not looking too hot for some of these names. Again, we know how strong, again, what was it? Palantir's beta was around 2.6. I think that's what I remember it being. I think we said 2.59 yesterday or the day before. But yeah, not really following in step too crazily with the market, but the market coming back into some of those levels from yesterday, 23,000 right there on the Nasdaq. But the ES holding up relatively well as well. Look at this volatility coming in on Palantir. Rips up 25 pennies at a time. I think that's absolutely crazy here. 149s still kind of struggling with this a bit of VWAP. But JNJ, oh boy, that thing is holding up quite well as well. I was talking about 165 is that prior level, and guess what? We kind of came all the way up into that 165 area, just shy of it, before kind of taking a little bit of a breather. Let's see if we can get that continuation here on JNJ as well. So let me pull that up for you guys here. So yeah, no real size. You can see it's a pretty light book here, but yeah, wasn't really watching it as closely. Like I said, it already kind of did what I was looking for in the pre-market, and that continuation came in real hot right off of the open there. But this Nasdaq is coming in just as hot to the downside as well. I'm going to be continuing to watch this Palantir to see what's going on there. JNJ to the upside. Wells Fargo catching a little bit of a push as well. Morgan Stanley got that dump right off of the open, so beautiful continuation off the open. BAC, yeah, a little bit of a chop, but continuing to push as of right now. What's up, Adara?
Oh, you do have it.
Keep an eye here in ASML. Apparently, the company's CEO is saying that tariff uncertainty invites further caution, and that customers are at the point where they're trying to understand where tariffs mean, or what tariffs mean. Sorry, so keep an eye on ASML. Also, worth noting here, I'm seeing apparently DJT on watch. Truth Social, as you can see, getting a bit of a pop. Apparently, filing for a trademark applications for an AI-powered chatbot. So keep an eye on DJT, Truth Social, as we send it back to you.
Ooh, DJT going to be in play. So didn't get it on the way up, so we'll have to get, look, talking about Unity, obviously, you can see my position. Should never bury the lead like that. Didn't get it on the way up on the breakout, but I am taking it, just a simple consolidation break play. You want to have it in the initial break. I had 75s as an average, giving it into that 32, and then it wanted to retest that high, which is about 33.5. That means I should be getting an offer out there in the 33 zone. It's wild to me that NVIDIA didn't have a bigger range, but the first place we're going to go to after showing you Unity is going to be Tesla. Tesla, it got close to 3. That's close enough on Tesla, 316 to slap the fail. I'm not shorting it at that price. I think I should have had it. I know I should have had it. It's like a one thing at a time when you're at the open, and the stock I was at the moment looking at was Unity, because it had made the breakout, but there's that flush off the 316. So I'm not sure we get those 320s again the last 2 days where it's faded. In this particular case, it seems like it's just gonna be that 315 to 316 area that we're working off of. So I gotta be a little bit patient. If we pop up there again, I have to remember something, and that is the Nasdaq first move down, Tesla first move up, and trying to put in higher lows. So even though I like that fade zone on Tesla, it's actually relatively strong in this moment. So you just got to be careful with that every single time you see it. You are seeing a few things. Pew, I had a pun in my head for if this thing ran. So when I looked over and saw it down this much and halted down, it kind of caught me off guard. Wow. So volatility halt here in Pew, which I'm just going to call it Pew because it's a lot of fun, but obviously this is Grab-A-Gun, down at $17. And what's the tap on here? 16.5. So it's going to open up pretty much just a little bit lower. That is a hefty reversal. We call that a Christmas tree reversal. This is why we talk about take profits when you get stocks that do this, right? Like look at that round trip. It's day one of it trading under the symbol, and it already round tripped. That didn't take very long.
No, the thing with SPACs as well is like you got to remember the price action that happened before the name change as well. Those prices, obviously, again, it's just a name change most of the time there. But yeah, something to be wary about for sure. Look at that wick up on the market. 150 still churning here on Palantir, but looking pretty weak as it pulls back into its VWAP. And oh boy, there's some aggressive sellers pushing into the book. I'm seeing some I guess aggressive size as well. Oh boy, what was that? That was 85,000. Okay, no, that was on a dark pool. Okay, I was like 85,000 into the lit book. Yeah, that'll drop it down 50 pennies real quick there as well. So 149.60 is currently trading, and 149.80s is VWAP. So yeah, coming back in below VWAP. Let's see if we can kind of hold this with any sort of sustainability here. And the pullback towards VWAP on JNJ as well. You can see JNJ holding that 162 pretty well as well. What's Tesla doing?
Well, I can tell you Tesla's now gonzo. Remember I said Tesla, got to be careful with that because the initial pullback was clean to VWAP. Right in here. But as the market was going down, it was going up, which means it better show you something distinctly different if you're going to try to short it the second time through. If you miss a trade, you have to evaluate it. Does it look right the second time? And in that particular moment, it was clear the relative strength was in there, so I didn't grab it. Unity's trying to come back up, but these chips aren't really bouncing the way you'd like to see it. Like, I know we're looking at Tesla over here, but look at NVIDIA. Inside range, absolutely nothing happening. So I'm sitting on the edges for it to do something. It's doing nothing. AMD, I don't know what that just was. AMD with a little bit of a pull, but it's still inside the range. Nothing happening over there in advanced micro devices. And as far as the crypto names go, Circle is squeezing higher. All right, where's that ETH going?
Yeah, exactly.
Remember, I was thinking ETH dip buys. It might just be ETH is trying to break out too. All right, so I trade ETH for the first time yesterday, usually trade IBIT, but look at this VWAP hold, all pre-market on ETH. I thought we'd go dip hunting into the prior high, but there's another way to play this. If it just bounces even a little bit off of VWAP, I'll try the long there. Looking for some strength. Clearly Circle's gone squeezing. It's the stable coin names that are gonna make the biggest moves, and I think that leads me to ETH over IBIT if I have to trade one of the two.
Yeah, I think that's a good look there on Circle. We were looking at that one as well. Kind of coming into those anchored VWAPs from the highs as well should be interesting there for Circle. I'm going to be waiting to see if it can potentially come in, but I think it was around those 212s, 213s, those prior highs. 212s, yeah. So it's I guess it's almost kind of there. So just let's see if it can kind of crack some of those levels. I'm sure I'll have some alerts that are going off if that does come into fruition here. The market's still holding pretty strongly to the downside as we come into the last 3 minutes of the first 15-minute candle here, and we'll let that kind of carry itself forward. We'll see what we have in store. But yeah, no, the only stocks Tesla to the upside, Apple as well, Neil, with a little bit of strength, Softy to the downside, Amazon to the downside, NVIDIA chopping sideways, and so is Goggles as well. I don't know what Meta is up to, but Citigroup, oh boy, we're looking for that continuation on Citi.
Before you said Goggles, Alphabet, everybody, worth remembering this about Alphabet. See this chop zone that you're seeing right here on Alphabet at about 183.5? Yesterday, there were no big imbalances at 350. However, at that, right when the imbalances came out, there was a consolidation zone where Google just dropped like an absolute rock into the close. So that was legit. Breaking out from this level would seem to be a little bit significant, because one thing to keep in mind is any big cap companies that do buybacks, you can't do buybacks in the last 10 minutes, which can exacerbate down moves because sometimes you don't have that dip that comes in there. That's something Chris Brecher used to talk about all the time when he would come on the aftermarket show. So anytime I see like crazy price action to the downside, it's like, oh, maybe they want to buy it up the next day. So watch out for Alphabet here. This could be like a double top break. Anyways, I just wanted to share that information for everybody out there. Unity, I'm not going to do the Unity thing every single time. If it gets to, how about this? If it doesn't get to 34, I don't do the Dave Chappelle thing. But I want it to get to 34. Everyone loves Dave Chappelle. It's one of my, it's one of my favorite. Look. The Rick James sketches are just among the top, so let's just, and everyone agrees on that. People might not agree on what the best Key and Peele sketch is, but
yeah, no, I was gonna say we were talking about some Key and Peele sketches yesterday. Those were definitely good. I think those guys are absolutely amazing as well. And of course,
but you said
Chappelle's the what's that?
But you said it though.
But you said it.
You said it though, right?
Said it though. I said. I don't know.
I can't.
Oh,
that
boy.
We can't say. But the Circle gets the square right now. Unity's going a little bit. Circle is going a lot. Up 6.5 points. It feels like they might have really trapped some shorts in there on Circle yesterday. So congratulations, everybody. We got another super chat in here. AMD retest 152. What do we think? I am thoroughly disappointed with the chips right now. I'll show you NVIDIA in a quick little second. Oops. In my head, I own ARM shares. That was 100% muscle memory. I did mean to pull up AMD, but sometimes I just pull up ARM. No, look at the disappointment. I thought AMD was a short into here. That was on my note, 157. Didn't really get close enough, but there was a seller all up in this range yesterday on AMD, so I think it's taking a bit of a breather at this moment. And the chips are doing nothing, everybody, so I think you got to stay clear, at least until they settle somewhere. Adara?
Excuse me, keep an eye here on PEW, that's grab a gun. This one was a special acquisition situation, formerly as CLBR, Colombier. We know that as well here, grab a gun, which again, this is first day trading as PEW. They also announced that Donald Trump Jr. is on their board. Apparently he was also there for their bell ring at NYSE, so keep an eye here on PEW. I want to mention as well, TDTH, this is Trident Digital Tech Holdings. I could not find any news on this, nor could I find much information about the float, but it's broken through that $1 level. We're at day's highs. I think about a 51 million share float. I don't know much about the, let me check this here. So $51 million market cap. I don't have any info about the float or the short float. Back to you.
Oh, so, shoot, I got something in my, grab a gun. The puns will run wild with that, but the new position for me is going to be ETH. It's just bouncing off the volume-weighted average price here. So I thought, look, I thought a couple of things. One, if the stablecoin ones are going to go, then I want to have this again after day 2. I didn't want to only take breakout trades. And if it didn't dip into the bottom, then we'd go dipping into the volume-weighted average price. So that one is starting to head back higher. It'll be, look, it's a scalp trade into the high until it breaks out. And I like inventory into the high. That way, I'm already long if it breaks the top, and I can scalp like a third out and then see how much we can hold on to. But if you start breaking prior bar lows, which is a tight stop, then I can just jump out, reevaluate, get into something else. Unity, I might take a quick look at reloading that, but it's not quite at my price yet. Rigetti, on the other hand, oh my Rigetti. Mom, spaghetti, whatever. Sharif loves that one, so I shouldn't really steal that from him. 15% Rigetti is up, Sharif. And it just bounced off VWAP clean. And it's at a big level on the daily. I'm not just talking about May highs. I'm talking about this lower high from January. You're talking about these January resistance here at about 1525. Chew through that and you got something. But you know what? If you're at 1475, that means you haven't broken 15 yet. So there's some room to go in here. I think if you join this, I'd rather join this leading into that top as opposed to joining it on the top break. This, one of the small caps going. Joby as well, having a pretty good session. And Tesla, oh my.
Yeah, man. I think after we talked about that Rigetti in the morning and me not having it, I got vomit on my sweater already. So we'll see. Again, some of the best trades, kind of you miss them. You miss them.
That's just gross.
Oh, well, come on.
Can't be puking on your sweater. Like
I know.
It's a work environment here.
My knees were weak. I don't know. You know, sometimes it just comes. It just comes out. I don't know. But getting in a little bit of a bounce on top of 23,000 here on the Nasdaq. As, again, more consolidation here on the Palantir in and around that VWAP level. But it seems like we are getting a little bit of a downtrend, the same area where sellers stepped in yesterday. Seems like, yeah, a little bit of dominance, seller dominance coming in at that same area today. So, yeah, I'm kind of keeping it light, waiting to really kind of push into this trade. As of right now, I can, again, size lightly so I can give it a lot more room for when it actually, if it actually comes in. Taking a little bit more through that 150. But again, Palantir, I've noticed over the past few days, it's been pretty difficult to find the bid, even though the bid is technically there because of the higher time frame. If you look at the weekly, what's that? Blame the algos? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we just got to wait for buyers to step in, right? Again, I'm not really doing a great job for being patient for that to kind of show up here just yet. But again, like I said, willing to give it some room. And oh boy, there is some destruction coming in as the futures take their second leg down all the way to these opening prices. Let's see if that can sustain as well, Neil. So
even if the futures go down,
yes,
we are still the knights who say ETH. 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 We are the knights who say ETH. Yeah. Oh, come on. Don't hit the... Come on. See, first of all, I'm going to drop all... From now, now I'm going to drop even more movie references that you don't get, Fabian. All right? And if you don't get that one, of course it's Monty Python.
Yeah. He knows that.
Okay, look, I know it's the knights who say me. But ETH, as the market broke lower, find that relative strength, baby, because what we have was a break of the high. I said we'd get out a third and let it break the high. And if it gets to 420, I'm going to sell something at 420. I don't care what the stock is. It's always a level. Just remember that. It doesn't make any sense, but 420 is always some kind of a level. If a stock breaks out, there's always sellers there as day traders. It just... I don't know what it is. Like, it's self-fulfilling prophecy. So we bounced off VWAP once. The only question I have is, can we bounce off VWAP twice? Because as the market comes in, and believe me, the market is coming in here as we speak. This is a legit down. This is a legit down move. We still have overnight support that we can deal with in and around 22.95. But I'm sitting here in two longs that are in the money, and you've got to be cautious with that when the market is saying otherwise. The other thing worth watching, and I'm just going to point out, NVIDIA has still done nothing. Inside range still on NVIDIA. Tesla did not get to 320. That's pretty close. One more push, and I think I would have shorted Tesla. Now, you'd say, well, the 319 is close enough, but the argument for myself is the reversion has been when it breaks 320, it reverts. So the fact that it's not even breaking 320 is more bearish, but I was looking for it to break that 320 level to short Tesla, and it didn't quite get there. So ETH looking pretty strong. Let's see if it can bounce off VWAP. I do want to make sure that, as a bit of an indicator, like what's IBIT doing? Because if I'm in ETH, Bitcoin is breaking lows. Remember, this is why we picked Ethereum today. Is IBIT breaking down and not as strong, but at least this is holding up. So sometimes you just got to switch it up. That's the beauty of the markets, and crypto is the same thing. Usually you can find something relatively strong or relatively weak that you can jump into. You just got to dig around a little bit. But
I'm really rich.
We could still lose this bid, and I got to drop out if the market keeps this up.
Yeah, this market's coming in real hot there. So yeah, where's the bid at? Nowhere to be found here.
What bid?
So yeah, no, I said I was going to give it a little bit of space on Palantir. We're holding that 159 right now. So again, a little bit of sloppy trading on my part, but again, managing risk relatively okay for now. Let's see, where is the next opportunity? That's really what I'm looking for as of right now. I'm not really seeing anything too crazy. Again, those banks that we were talking about still kind kind of all over the place. We got Morgan Stanley just chopping within its opening range. We got Citigroup as well. So nice little quadunk on that one. So giving back some of the move from yesterday. And then Wells Fargo taking back some of the move from yesterday. We saw that strong selling coming in to Wells Fargo as well. And that's coming in with a little bit of strength off of the open today. So not yet are those sellers kind of starting to step in. So NVIDIA as well. So yeah, a lot of these stocks, a lot of the Mag 7s pulling back with some aggression here. You can see the TQs also pulling back. Oh boy, indeed, as we pull in higher. But Tesla is the only one, Neil. Tesla is the one and only that is aggressively continuing to push a little bit higher, distinctly different and disconnected from the rest of the market as well.
We have a poll here, which I feel like I don't know what the answer is going to be. By the way, Pew is now halted upside, everybody.
Wow.
So, hey,
Shake and bake.
It caught a little bit of a bid. The poll is, do you own a Pew machine? Which obviously I'm sure everyone understands what that is. 73% saying no. Okay, 73. It's a yes for Joe over there. But we also just had a super chat I wanted to make sure we got to because I just saw it in there. What are we? ETH is actually holding up. Pew just opened up at 16. And we have Alex Upshur. I think ABAT is ready for another look. Government grants, etc. What are your thoughts? So ABAT, you want to talk about Abbott? Oh, sorry, American Battery. American Battery. I'm thinking ABT. ABAT. You know what? I don't know. Like I don't know them. However, ooh, this is something. Where's the volume on? Why would there not be more volume up at the $2 level on this stock? Because this is something here on. I know this would be a name that Sharif would be interested in if it could actually break out above. So somebody's selling it pretty much exactly at 2. There's literally no size. It's only done 1 million. Not doing good relative volume. So I don't know what gets it there today specifically. But if it can hold on at $2, that looks good on the daily chart. Just technically speaking, because for these small cappers, unless I actually know something about the company, which for a small capper, like 90% of the time, none of us do, let's be real. I can't really tell you more than that. Unity, yeah, we're coming right back into that prior high. I'm trying to keep focused on the higher time frame here and remind myself that Unity, the last time it broke away from a consolidation, that's $2.50, and it just rallied for 3 days in a row. So I want to give this one some room, but I should be selling, and I should have orders in front of the 33 at least. Like I know I'm saying I want it to get to 34, but I'm going to get an order in front of, again, in front of the 33 level, just to try to take something out. And then if it gets up to 33.5, I should have an order too. So I should have orders out there, just locked and loaded, ready to go. As far as this market, it's just not looking very good right now, which is wild to me that Unity's holding up and ETH is holding up because we're stair-stepped to the downside. I know I'm only long, but like I don't know what to tell you. That's just kind of what's working in the current moment for me. ETH bucking the trend of the overall market. We're stair-stepped to the downside, so I guess all that exuberance is going elsewhere. It's in... I haven't checked some of the other crypto names, so I don't want to speak out of turn. I know IBIT was going down and ETH is going up, and that's all I'm in right now. So hopefully you guys have found something to the upside. Because if you got Tesla, and if you got Circle, or if you have ETH, or a couple of small caps out there, you're doing fine. But everything else is looking kind of heavy here.
Yeah, really heavy here, yeah. I mean, I was expecting a little bit of a bid on Palantir. It seems like, again, aggressive selling back into the range of yesterday. So I'm definitely a little bit wrong on this one as it continues to show selling dominance on the day today. So yeah, you're going to be watching this 148. Definitely wrong on this one. Where is the next trade is potentially what I'm asking very soon here. And I'm not really seeing anything too crazy right now. So I want you guys to let me know, what are you guys trading? The Palantir short, absolutely nice. It's obviously coming in. That's the other side of this trade. So shout out to anybody who had that. And oh boy, there it goes right there, flushing through those 148s here on Palantir. That's an aggressive flush into the bid there. So yeah, again, maybe some dumps coming in with respect to the rest of the market as well. You can see the futures, strong flushes, aggressive flushes coming in as well. Where will it capitulate? Nobody knows. I have no idea, but I got to do better at trying to get in on the right side of the V on this, and I'm definitely not doing that as of right now. But again, going to be patient. When and if the bid does come in, I would like to get involved pretty aggressively as well here on Palantir. Might not be today, but that 150 consolidation is looking nice here as of right now on Palantir. Again, higher time frame consolidating in and around that 150 area this week for a potential push. Again, we've seen Palantir on the weekly and how aggressively strong it has shown us to be. So still looking for that. Let me know in the chat. Again, what are you guys trading? I know that QQ is going pretty crazy as well.
Look where Google, it did it again on Alphabet. Did it again. This is exactly where it dumped yesterday at the highs. And then once it was through that spot of the imbalances, it absolutely, it's not really flushing yet, but it's certainly flushed on that initial candle. This looks incredibly weak, everybody. There was just a note saying the Goldman call is happening. The Goldman Sachs call is happening. And they said there's room for dividend growth. It is just holding underneath the lows. The banks don't look all that great this morning, especially, let me just double check. Oh, Morgan bounced a little bit, so I guess it's not all bad. When it comes to Morgan Stanley, but you're getting a lot of pullback right now in the market early, but it's not happening to Apple.
Nope.
So Apple, like I said, you've got to find where the relative strength is. ETH, Tesla, small cappers like to a certain extent, Rigetti, Unity, Apple on the big cap. You just saw Google. I was showing you guys Alphabet pulling to the downside and retracing to those lows. Apple distinctly different, but even as I say all of that, Apple's had this supply zone at 212 that we were talking about, Obi.
Yeah.
Like
it's creeping up into there, right?
This is a long consolidation for Apple. And that's great. Eventually, at some point, you break this, and we're all going to love it when Apple breaks out from this level. But it's not a guarantee that that happens anytime soon. So if it gets up to 212, like, what are you looking to do? I did short this once yesterday at 212. It really should have been twice. It gets there again, I probably take a shot, especially with the market sentiment going your way as we speak. So yeah, just be careful. You've got to be very, very particular about what you want to be long here today, at least early off the open. That's for sure. Because I'm not seeing anything else that's I'm in love with to the long side. I went over to look at some of the fintech names, like a SoFi. And it's like, okay, yeah, it held up on a breakout. So like, just thinking, because if ETH is strong, and like, is there anything else that's casually related to crypto that might be strong? And I looked over at SoFi, and by the time I looked at it, it had lost VWAP and was all of a sudden breaking that upward trend. So I don't know if I would touch that. I'm just going to stick with Unity. And ETH, my next offer, is sitting above the 30 level. I didn't get that dip into VWAP the second time, like this little one here. We only got the first dip into the volume-weighted average price on ETHA. It does, that ETF does the best volume. I know there's other ones, but it does the best volume. Let's go to Adara. Time for a little happening now.
This is quite the look here on the Nasdaq. We curled throughout the pre-market. We were poised to potentially continue that move to the upside. Unfortunately, these first two 15-minute candles were sharp selling. No economic data right now. Fed's bar apparently just starting to speak. If there's any notable comments there, I will let you know. But we did get some economic data this morning in the form of PPI. Year over year and core PPI year over year, all actually lower than expected. So interesting look there for PPI, tons of earnings. We'll go over some of the ones on watch briefly. ASML, massive move to the downside, and it's only continuing to sell off. What happened here was they just made a new day's low as we speak. What happened was, even though they did beat here on EPS and sales, the CEO did warn of weakness going forward more into 2026 than 2025. They are still forecasting growth in 2025, but growth in 2026 might be an issue. Here is Morgan Stanley, one of the many names here in the second round of bank earnings on watch. We also had BAC and Goldman Sachs reporting this morning. Then we've got PEW. This is Grab a Gun. First day of trading after its acquisition with CLBR or Colombier. This name's interesting because there is some involvement here with Donald Trump Jr. And speaking of the Trump family, keep an eye on DJT as well. Truth Social, of course, is part of Trump Media and Technology Group, apparently reportedly filing for an application there for an AI chat bot. Before we send you back to the guys, we're going to take the moment to thank our friends at Top 1 Futures. Are you looking to trade futures like the Nasdaq SPY or even Bitcoin? Top 1 Futures is one of the fastest growing prop firms out there, and they give traders the chance to manage up to $1 million in capital. Pick your path: instant funded, challenge, or pro account, and start trading your way to real payouts and even a live account. In the last 90 days alone, they have paid out over $10 million, and they've earned over 1,000 5-star reviews from real traders. Use discount code TTV to save on any account, and scan the QR code or head to top1futures.com and start trading towards your next payout as we send you back to Neil and Obi.
Thank you very much, guys. Guys, check it out in the chat. Do you own a Pew Pew machine? So make sure you go in there and vote. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because you won't be able to vote if you don't like and subscribe, or subscribe at the least. But yeah, no, answer in the chat. Do you own a Pew Pew machine? Now, I don't know what that is, but I have no idea what that is. But I think that Joe is Joe might know. I see him dancing, so I think Joe definitely owns a Pew Pew machine. Maybe. You have a few. Oh, okay, that's what you mean. Yeah. Okay, so like literally Pew Pew machines. Yeah. Of course. Like I think we definitely have some at my household. My dad loves hunting, so he goes with his buddies every now and then. So yeah, we definitely got a few Pew Pews. Sorry.
What does he hunt?
I think last time they went for elk. Yeah. That was last.
I'm always finding things out. That's one thing that didn't get discussed or we haven't talked about there. Yeah. So I know the vote.
Fishing and hunting. He's huge on fishing and hunting, and that's where I get a little bit of my outdoors.
As long as it's not ice fishing.
He's been ice fishing a couple times. He's not a huge fan of it, but again, it is what it is. Yeah.
Exactly.
Fishing, we love fishing.
Fishing is fishing.
Yeah.
Ice fishing is just different, and I know it's an un-Canadian thing to say. My sister-in-law and her husband, that they're into that stuff, and I politely decline every single time. But I have a serious question for everybody out there. There's 1,100 votes on do you own a Pew Pew machine, which is great. I love the fact that we have that engagement. There's 828 likes and 1,100 votes on do you own a Pew Pew machine. Come on, we can do better than that. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. If you have questions in the chat or anything, that's what I'm saying. Fabian's right. They're rookie numbers. That's light work. We got to get that real work in there. So let's get the let's get the YouTube algorithm to grow the community, everybody, because I think it's a fantastic one. It's the best one out there, everybody. So hit the like and subscribe. If you have any questions in the chat or there's a symbol that we haven't looked at, you guys got to let us know. And Racer Maxine says this SBET. Forget about ETH for a second and Unity. SBET. I'm a little. So I thought if ETH is working, which it is, then this sucker would be squeezing right now, right? Like that would be the logic. And look at this is where it's come from. Don't at me when this thing eventually returns to some form of normality. But big gap up. It's just not sustaining the breakout over here. I feel like it's the right place to have been in crypto to look for these names. That's why I'm in ETH. Well, that time frame doesn't help. But I just trailed out some. When it broke this 3-minute trend. I still have a piece, but I trailed some out thinking it'd come back into VWAP and reload. But this is breaking out. To me, why isn't SBET going? That's looking pretty solid, at least for now. Don't really have any big levels, obvious levels, but one thing you can do, and I do this, especially when you're trading crypto, is just, well, actually, no, I want to look at it. I'll just look at ETH in general. We'll just pull that up on Bitstamp for whatever reason. Is look at a higher time frame. 4 hours going to be good. I'm just going to look at a daily and keep that simple. You can still eyeball this for the 24-hour markets where the big levels are going to be. And until you get to about 33, I know it's an area here. We've got to 32,000. 33 is where resistance is. So I will be looking at the 3,300 level if by some chance we get there. And that would be a take the trade out because I think you're getting to a topping zone on ETH. But yeah, holding on to this trade, it's working out for me. And with the market barely bouncing off the lows, like this ES holding up a little bit better, right? The Nasdaq trying desperately to hold on to the absolute bottom. That said, it's still a ways away from our range low. So you could take another leg lower, and I still think you catch a bid down there on the Nasdaq. But for now, make sure you're in some relatively strong names. Unity just pushed back into the high, so it holds the volume weighted average price. Lo and behold, it should be no secret what I like to do in an upward trend. Sometimes I'm in early on that press because I wanted the breakout. Once it confirms here, trend, and then there's your trend line, and there's a volume weighted average price. My simple thing is, if I'm going to long a stock, I'm 100% long this VWAP. It's a trend line on the third take. It's holding the volume weighted average price. That's an auto buy if you like the trend up, in my opinion, because that's just a trading strategy I like. Only 2 names I'm in, but there is a fail. I have to slap a fail. I've only traded 2 things and they've worked, but this is a massive fail on Tesla. I should have just taken it and not let it. I wanted 320. That's it. I wanted 320 short on Tesla, and look, it told you that 319 was the level. You have to listen to the stock sometimes. Like, you can have an idea of a number in your head or a line on a chart or whatever it might be, as this is the resistance, that's the support. It doesn't always give it to you. Sometimes you have to be willing to nibble in here. And one way you could play it is you could just have half the size or something because you don't like it as much as $2 higher. So I can still have my stop through 19, short it around 18 to 18.5, and just do it for a smaller size because I don't like it as much. But Tesla's starting to give up the ghost, and that's one of the stronger names in here too. I got to consider if Unity doesn't break this high, the way this market is going, if Unity doesn't break this out and give me 34, I might want to jump out of this on a fail break. So Unity, 33, 40 something. If we fail this breakout, I'll probably jump out of that long. ETH we'll hold on to because that's looking structurally sound still.
Yeah, so the market can't really catch a bounce. There's no real bid here on the market just yet, and it's coming into 10 o'clock. So it's been about, I guess, about 40 minutes, almost 40 minutes, 2 more minutes till 40 minutes since the open, and we've only been selling off. So where is the reversion? That's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm asking. Palantir kind of knocking on the door of 149s again. So like I said, kind of a chip chop consolidation here as it kind of grinds up. We're looking for that market bid, not really coming in. So yeah, definitely not the best trade here just yet. But like I said, I'm looking at these banks at the same time, and none of them really are doing what I was looking for. JNJ, though, holding up quite well. You can see, I'm observing this. It's holding that VWAP. We pulled back to 161s and then reclaim that VWAP as well. The initial push was aggressively choppy and pretty spready as well. Sometimes that spread pushing is just random, from 30 pennies to $1 at times, just like, just fluctuating in and around those levels here. So the market, let's see if it can finally catch a bounce. Let's see if Palantir can give us a retest of those highs there, 150s potentially. It's recovered about, I'd say, about 30 to 50, close to 30, over 33% for sure, coming into that 50% reversion area here. VWAP coming in at 149.27s. That's coming in right now as it trades 149.20. So oh boy, yeah, that was a little bit of a round trip there on my part, but finally starting to work out a little bit. Let's see if those sellers are going to come in right on top of VWAP once again, as they are getting a little aggressive in and around this area. So that's what I have on watch. But there is the market bid finally coming in with some aggression here. Let's see how much of a bid we can really catch today. Those sellers, man, oh boy, bro. Those sellers.
The sellers were in control, bro. And then all of a sudden, things have changed. Finally, NVIDIA is starting to do something. It didn't get to 169, but if you know the way we like to play, we got our third contact on the trend line. Technically, you could call it the opening wick here as well, really. So you can draw the trend like this. It's very likely to close this bar above. So it's a little bit of a chase. So I only got in half because it's like the prior bar is all the way down here at the 30 level, and then it was breaking out at the 50. So that's what I ended up grabbing. We'll likely close this easily above 170.30, but this bar hasn't closed yet. So technically speaking, this hasn't really closed above the trend line yet. But when I saw the market picking up, I said, okay, fine. The market's bouncing. I like that setup anyway, so I'll just get in half. And if we do close the bar, I'll find a second entry into the volume weighted average price. Unity is now flying. It did break out that high, so I think we're looking pretty good there. Oddly enough, in that market bounce, Tesla did not really do much of anything. I still have eyeballs on Tesla. I'm favoring, I'm going to do this. I want to keep this up for when this bar closes. But I'm favoring Tesla to the short side. if this bounce in the market cannot sustain through the volume weighted average price, or at least show some kind of strength more than a couple of minutes, then Tesla back off of this 315 to 316 area would be one place to look to the short. I'm not doing it yet, but if the market reclaims the lows and NVIDIA comes out and everything starts looking weak again, then Tesla's a spot that I don't have to wait for the 320 necessarily. I can always just jump in off of that 316. So I will now get my bid in the 30s here to try and grab the other half of this trade because it did close above the trend line. Ideally, I get something in the low 40s, or I'll go for the 30s now, but maybe I want the low 40s as well. Unity made the high break, but it didn't really fly off of that high break. So there's the high break on Unity. I don't want this losing trend back in. I said if it failed to break out that I would jump out of it. I'm going to give it a little bit of room here. It's so strong here in Unity that I want to give it just a little bit more space, up 12%.
Yeah, no, this market's taking a little bit of a bounce here. So about 2 minutes left on this 15-minute candle, and we've reverted a decent chunk of this move here on the Nasdaq and the ES. So there is the bid that we were looking for, potentially coming in. Yeah, coming in about 30 to 40 minutes later. But let's see if we can kind of reclaim some of those levels. Let's see what Adara is up to.
Keep an eye on Shopify here, SHOP. Do you have Financial Times reporting that OpenAI is going to be taking a cut of the ChatGPT shopping sales in a search for revenues? Kind of chopping around right now here. It's unclear exactly what the impact of this headline is going to be, but either way, SHOP is reacting, I guess, the online shopping related element of this headline. So SHOP on watch as we send you back to the guys. Make sure to like and to subscribe. Back to you.
Very much. BMNR, I see that you're looking at that. Again, that stock was that was the one that trades on the Amex, yeah. And oh boy, that was one for the books last week, man.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But this time it's because look, right now you've got Peter Thiel announcing what was like 10%? No, 9% stake in BMNR. And I hope you guys heard the thank you, Adara, because I did hit the key. I didn't hear it myself, but I'm going to just make the assumption that it actually went off. But BMNR now blasting. I'll get to NVIDIA just lost the bid, so I'm not sure about this market, but this just blasted through, and I wanted to make sure we showed it because 50 almost exactly is this high from the pre-market at $50 on BMNR. I don't trust these types of things for breakouts right here because I think if you've rallied 10% into a break, that's a trap. And I don't like springing that kind of a trap, especially on a name that I've never traded before. But NVIDIA, I did get the other fill. There's our stop right underneath that prior bar. It's right here. I know it's a tight stop, but that's just how I do it. And maybe it holds 170, but that's a different trade. There's a trend break to the prior bar, or there's a support trade off 170. You got to pick. I don't want to do two things at once. So if we can bounce off 70, I might take another shot at it. But I'm still not in love with some of these longs. Like Unity's been good all morning, and even then, it's starting to lose trend. As a matter of fact, now that I look over, that one's done. I just looked over. I saw the market press back off the volume-weighted average price. I looked at my Unity chart and saw that I eyeballed it. I didn't even have to redraw the trend line. I knew it broke this just by looking at it on the chart. That's an easy out off VWAP for me. I wanted to give it a little bit more room, but if we can come back in, maybe hold a 32.6, 32.8 off the volume weighted average price, I can jump back into it. I think with the market looking weak, I don't want to look gift horse in the mouth. I just want to bag the win and look to something else. And if it continues to go, fair enough, everyone's strategy is going to be different. I'm going back over to ETH, which I'm still in. The long was off 24 initially at the volume weighted average price. I want confirmation that it's going to hold again, and then I can jump back and add some into this trade. So a couple of relatively strong names that I don't mind adding to on the long side, but the way this market's consolidating down, like I said, you've got to pick your spots for longs because not everything is really holding up. Like NVIDIA just lost 170 again. Tesla's still looking relatively weak. Find something, if you're going long, like Rigetti would be a good example here, that's at least holding its upward trend.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. That's a good point made there, Neil. And yeah, no, I kind of I was like, all right, well, we came all the way back to VWAP there, 129.20s, and we pulled back a little bit there as well. So I'm like, all right, well, it's very, very clear now that sellers are going to continue staying a little bit in charge on this name here as the market attempted to take a little bit of a bid, but coming back down. So yeah, I definitely lose a little bit on that one there. As soon as you said that, I was like, yeah, I should probably take that advice. I was looking at a little bit of a winner there, the average coming in at 148.90s, and I was looking for that VWAP to start blasting through. Didn't really come in there, but holding a relatively higher low as of right now compared to the low of day here on Palantir. But yeah, those sellers coming in real hot. Where is the next trade? I think I'm pretty much done with Palantir for now, and willing to look other places. But yeah, those banks, not really. The banks were some of my top ideas today, and didn't really do, like I said, didn't really do what I was looking for. Let's go back to my morning plan and see what I have missed, because I've definitely missed a little bit of opportunities while I'm, kind of just messing around with this here Palantir with some sloppy trading for sure. So, okay, so yeah, I had XHB. So why did I have XHB on watch? Let's take a quick look at that one first. Here, so XHB, wow, JNJ is finally starting to curl and push as well. That market tailwind might be playing a little bit of a part there as well. So XHB, this whole sector was sold off pretty aggressively yesterday. So what I was looking for today was continuation if we were holding that prior day's low. Look at this aggressive selling pretty much all day on the home builders ETF. If you look at anything like a Home Depot, like a Lowe's, very similar kind of sentiment was shown here yesterday. So XHB not doing what I was looking for. I was looking for UNH as well, Neil. Again,
Apple's
aggressive selling coming in yesterday as well on this one, looking for that continuation. And I hear you saying Apple is going wild and Apple's back into that 112. Hello, how are you doing? That is potentially the next push there. So let's take a quick look at Apple here. That trades, of course, on the Nasdaq. Let me pull up the book for y'all here as well. So where's it at? Okay, Apple on the DAC right here, and oh boy, look at that rip up. So we talked about those highs, that maybe potential supply zone being around the 112s. Is today the day that we finally take it out with some sort of distinction, Neil? I have no idea, but I'm now starting to watch this book. Let's throw on that size filter as well so we can see anybody who shows up with any sort of size here on Apple as well. So yeah, Palantir catching a little bit of a bid. So yeah, I did punch out, but got in a little bit less here as we potentially make some higher lows. But like I said, it's clearly showing me that sellers may very well be in charge. I'm willing to get a lot more in if that VWAP can push once again. Like I said, I'm more than willing to continue to try to find the bid here on Palantir as it attempts to push a little bit higher. But the bid is definitely coming in. Circles at that 12?
The crypto, if it's crypto related, it's strong right now. Like the market's trying to bounce off the low. Circle, high of day breaking out. I've already talked about ETH, so I won't go into it again. Robinhood breaking the highs. Like if you picked something in this space for that recovery after the vote yesterday in the afternoon and then again in the evening that went away, it just seems like we're going Squeezeville here. So that's where the strength is. And of course, Apple's looking very strong in a host of small cap names. But as far as Circle goes, like this is an obvious resistance spot. It also happens to be the 212 level is an anchored VWAP from the highs. As well, so it's not as if like it's going into a supply zone, but the anchored VWAP would be lower, obviously, as we get volume down underneath. So it's right around this 212 level. So that's a pretty obvious area for potential pullback. So anchored VWAP from the highs of 300 is about that 212 level on Circle. And the last time, and this was also a test of that anchored. It went parabolic into it, and this was on the 9th. If you're just trying to follow along, on the 9th, parabolic into the anchored VWAP, and then pulled back. Was doing the same thing here. If this trend breaks at 212, it's kind of an obvious play here for me. You've already got one test and then a lower high. This would be a scalp into the volume weighted average price if it breaks the trend. For myself, I did pay for locate earlier so we can put this trade on, as I do see some things. Yeah, NVIDIA just lost a bit again. The market's not looking overly healthy. Might get the scalp trade here. I'm overall bullish in some of the crypto bounce, but this is, we were waiting for this. We waited for this level specifically on Circle to see if it could happen. But let's see what's going on in small cap world, because let's be real. Unless you're long something in the crypto space, it's the small cappers that have been the long for you today, this morning. Adara.
Not sure if IWM necessarily would be along. It did something pretty similar to what we did with the market, though it actually started selling a little bit earlier, but that rounded bottom pre-market is present in both the Russell 2000 and the Nasdaq and the SPY. Let's talk here about some of these small cap tickers, including APM. This is Aptorum Group. They've halted a couple times already today, announcing this morning that they are doing an all-stock merger agreement with Diamir Biosciences. So through this agreement, Diamir is going to become a wholly owned subsidiary of APM, but they're still going to have their own listing. So APM is actually the acquirer, it sounds like, in this scenario. Then we have QS, QuantumScape, not a quantum name. They do solid-state battery solutions, always important to make that distinction given its name and ticker. But QS, no news on this. It is not necessarily a small cap. It's about an $8 billion market cap. $11 ticker with a 17% short float and lots of retail attention. Last but not least, ABAT, American Battery Technologies. So yesterday morning, they announced they received a $1 million Department of Energy agreement for, I guess, advancing their lithium hydroxide production. That's a second day catalyst, but good look here today for ABAT after grinding solidly all day yesterday. Back to you. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this awesome content.
Thank you very much, Adara. Apple it looks like it finally wants to break through that 212 with the way that it's pushing, but I'm watching it. No real sign of selling right now, but yeah, that bid is definitely coming in here with the rest of the market. So yeah, I'm glad I kind of got involved back into this PLTR there. But yeah, like I said before, not necessarily the best trading to start off with, but sometimes, you get back on the horse a little bit later, as long as you're getting back on the horse. And oh boy, there is that aggressive push on Palantir, man. This is what I was talking about. It's just like, you ever heard that concept? I'm sure you've heard that concept. Who am I talking to? In trading, where like you have, it's like sometimes you can feel the price action being pushed down in a very, very unnatural way. So I've heard traders use the beach ball pushing into the water kind of analogy. So it's like when I'm sitting there and I'm like, I know I'm wrong on this. I know I'm wrong on this. I know I should be keeping it tight and stopping out. But I'm like, this is so unnatural. It feels like aggressive bids just pounding into it. And guess what? I didn't know it at the time, but when that bid steps back in and you get that aggressive rip right back up, it was a little bit of like, what's your opinion on that? To me, it's exactly like that. I'm like, I was there. Like, I would say relatively okay with reading the tape and kind of feeling like, okay, well, this is clearly being slammed down very aggressively into yesterday's lows. So, you know what I mean?
It honestly plays both ways, but look, it's the actual opposite result for me in Unity. Like that kind of, it seemed a little bit distinctly different, pressing to the downside, trailed me out of a good long, as opposed to, oh, it seems like it's wrong, the stock is gonna go up. I played that one wrong, thinking it was gonna give me the pullback into the volume weighted average price, and all it does is just resume an uptrend there very cleanly. But at the end of the day, look, if you're a trader, you've just got to make the best read you can, take the wins you can for sure. And over at Trade the Pool, with their swing trading programs, you can get access to up to $40,000 in buying power to trade real shares, not CFDs. You can hold positions overnight, over the weekend, and enjoy limited risk, thanks to a one-time evaluation fee. No monthly payments, no hidden costs. Take Vicente J, for example. One of the Trade the Pool swing traders. He's already locked in $23,082 in profits. His top performer was NMAX. He shorted it from April 20th to May 30th and pulled in over a $6,000 gain alone. Trade the Pool is giving swing traders the tools, the time, and the capital to thrive. Scan the QR code and enjoy 10% off, as Unity has done it. All right, I may have been jiggled out of it, but I promised if it got to 30, I would say, Unity. Let's go to Adara.
Here's Alibaba. Keep an eye on these Chinese ADRs. We have comments coming through from U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer. He's talking a lot here about reindustrializing the U.S. Of course, that is the goal of the Trump administration, and that's been their stated goal with regards to implementing tariffs. But he did say, I think one thing to remember, he just said China's cumulative tariff rate is 55%. Alibaba was already pretty weak, but it looks like we might actually break this low of day here as we digest this again. 55% cumulative tariff rate on China. It is worth noting we haven't seen a tariff letter yet on China from Donald Trump on Truth Social. It's unclear if we will get one because the system is pretty unique how they're releasing these. But either way, Jameson Greer reiterating a cumulative 55% tariff rate on China. Back to you.
Yeah, that's not nothing.
China.
The timing on some of those is absolutely beautiful, man. Yeah.
Well done,
That reminds me, I gotta set up my
Andre. I
stream
keep
deck
thinking
today.
Andre reminds me of my roommate from university. Anyways, Alibaba, that 115 on Alibaba. Yesterday it was a good break away to the upside. Today, it's the failure. Like look at the price action off of 115 in Alibaba. When it breaks away, you go long. When it breaks away, you go short. That doesn't seem that hard. So maybe it's just, I'm gonna add this to my list, and because I literally have 115 written down from yesterday, so I don't have to change anything on my iPad, but just short the pops in BABA. Unity continues to fly. I did not get the reload on ETH, which I think I'm just gonna hold. To me, this is a hold and try and continue the trend here. You got the big gap up, it's relatively strong compared to the market. Everything else in the crypto space looks pretty strong, so I wanna continue with that. Traders community saying, CoreWeave testing yesterday's highs. Oh boy, the squeeze it's still squeezing, whether it's Circle or CoreWeave, no matter what you think about these, when they get going, and everybody that thinks they're headed right back down to the bottoms gets really confident in their shorts, that's when they get bamboozled. That said, yesterday said 150 was sort of the spot that we would look for. Maybe the seller is starting to gain control again. I think you've got room here if it breaks the high, but then you're running right into this supply zone, like those 150 into 153, 154, I think. So just be careful with it. Still got some room. And as we were talking about Circle, just because the crypto names are in play, if I'm picking one of these that I'm going to trade today, it'd be Circle over CoreWeave, as it's going right into some of these highs. You're now breaking, so if it closes a 15-minute above 212, which it couldn't do that before, above that VWAP from the highs, or sorry, a VWAP from the highs. If it can do that here, that would be breaking the anchored VWAP from that all-time high on Circle. So if it does that, and it's going to close this bar in about 30 seconds or so, I flipped the script from looking for a short to looking like a reversion short into a continuation long. Looking very strong here. Crypto for the win.
Yeah, no, a little bit of a stab on Apple there, kind of getting stopped out 212s. So it seems like I said, kind of consolidating here. Maybe we are poised to finally push through this 212 area right now on the day today. And oh boy, Neil, guess what Palantir is coming back to? 150s. So yeah, that reversion coming in real hot there. I got to do, again, my decision making not the best off of the open. The better entries down here at the 148s. And then the second entry that I had as well, when I was like, all right, I'm done with this for now. And then I see what I like, I get right back in. I'm like, all right, well, maybe now we do it. And this time, decision making a little bit less effective here as it pushes back in. So this Apple, I'm willing to give it a few more tries here, but this consolidating near the highs within the first hour is definitely a little interesting to me. But again, like I said, the high of day right now, 212.40s, currently trading at 212.10s, and you can see the market. Yes, we did bounce back. Didn't really revert about 50% here on the Nasdaq as of yet, but it seems like finally we're starting to catch some back-to-back greens here on these 15-minute candles when it comes to the Nasdaq. And 150, Neil, coming right back in on Palantir. So a little bit of FOMO on my part, but again, I get what I deserve. I shouldn't really be trading necessarily like this. And here is the squeeze, Neil, on Palantir. So this will actually, oh boy, that's what I mean. Beach ball held down. When that pressure is gone, guess where it's gonna go? Oh boy.
The beach ball reference is a weird one in particular because there's a lot that you could use for that, but I am liking it because I absolutely love the beach in a general sense. I'm going to try to get into this circle trade, but I got to show you, we just took the high, well, I mean ETH just took the high and continues to rally. As I said, I'll look at a higher time frame for you in a quick little second or go back over it a second time, but we continue to go to the upside. It's interesting that it's giving you a dip in circle back into that 212 area while that's happening. So I want to see if we can close this above the 212. If we do that I can add. Otherwise, so the prior high is an area from 211 to 212. So that in square is going to, circle is going to have like a 30, 40, sometimes a 50 cent spread on it. So this type of a stock, like I would never put like, oh, I'm just going to stop it at 12. Like this is an area where they sold between 11 and 12. So I usually just midpoint it and say I'm willing to get out if we break out that 11.5. Just to give you an idea, I always talk about where we're wrong in terms of a stop order. In that particular case, like it's not just going to be this wick. Like if it breaks down under here, I'll just get out. But until we close a 3-minute above 212, I don't want to add to this. And I could do it on a breakout as well. So crypto going higher, most things in crypto going higher. ETH has a bit of a, like this is a stupidity candle. I don't actually.
What are those?
I'm not a chartered market technician. I don't really know. I don't have a name for this. Like what I just mean, it's like a parabolic candle. Like it's the biggest candle of the day for reasons unknown to me. And I take positions off when this happens because it's like a program buy. And if I see it hold up at the 50 level, which right now there's a bit of size at 24.50 over there on ETH, then I'm just gonna try and get out if it fails this breakout through 50. So I'm eyeballing the 24.50 level. Bit of a refresher at 49s right now on ETH. If I see that win a little bit more, I'll probably just punch out of this position. No, it just broke through the 50 level. Wow. The second it looked like it was going to lose that 49, it just punched through the 50 level and is absolutely flying through. I'm just going to cancel my stop from the bottom because I obviously don't need that stop anymore. And I'll just give it back through 50. If you want to trail me out, fine. And remember, the reason why we like ETH over IBIT today, bigger gap up, lower drop on that crypto bill, whatever the heck they're calling it. Daryl will give you the name because she has a perfect memory, and I won't. We just like to trade here. ETH finally going. Darwin, bullish engulfing candle on the ETHA daily. Thank you. That's a good look. Adara.
Let's take a look here at KOPN. This is Copen Group. No news on this that I could see. It's a small cap. Looks like we would actually be halted potentially now. We're on that $1.80. Sorry, I guess we're still open here on KOPN, but it is worth noting about 2 million shares I couldn't find, 2 million shares traded right now in the day. Couldn't find much information on it. And again, no news, but this one has rallied in the past. I want to talk as well here. We're getting some comments from Kevin Hassett. This is the second trade-related official in the Trump administration that we've heard speaking today. Kevin Hassett saying that the Fed has been very, very slow and that inflation data has been fine. So they don't necessarily need to be this slow. Again, just more data or more commentary coming in on inflation and the Fed's response to inflation from the Trump administration, specifically the team that does work on these trade-related issues. It's also, I think, worth noting as well, a bit of a fun fact, Kevin Hassett, who's currently the leader of the National Economic Council, he is being seen increasingly, apparently, as a very likely contender to take over Powell's position, or at least he could be put to that place. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. A little bit of a reversion coming in from that same area on Apple from yesterday, Neil. So glad I got a little bit involved in that one. But again, that 211, I find that 211 halves a little interesting. VWAP's all the way down at 211.11s. Hello, Lucky. 211.11s. We're trading at 211.70s right now. So let's see if that'll potentially come into fruition. But again, with the market, with that look at that quadunk happening on this wick. How much time is left on this 15-minute candle? Oh boy, there comes in Apple. Here we go, Neil. Let's see if we can get that VWAP test as well. You know what? I like the number 42 as well.
It's a great number.
So I think 42 is a great number as well. Let's see if we can get a little bit of that as well as, again, the market taking a green to red on the futures here as sellers step right back in. I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling slightly, I'm trying to manage a little bit of tilt right now as well. Again, I know you guys don't hear too much of that on the show, but I am pretty tilted at myself for how I executed on Palantir, and it was giving me the move that I was looking for. But guess what? I did not respect the market generated information, and that is on me, Neil. So it is what it is.
It certainly is. And look, if you're looking for indicators, trend lines, or somewhere you can find those engulfing candles on higher time frames, shout out to Darwin in our chat, eSignal has still got the first month free. These are waived, so you can take a shot at a professional platform to allow you to back test your strategies, to allow you to customize your layout with the data, the reliable data that you need to trade your specific setups. API access, you can automate your trading style if you would like to do so as well. So everything all in one spot, including an opportunity to short Tesla into 320 with eSignal. 1 month free, so you try it out. If you don't like it and it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Scan the QR code you see in front of you. Link is in the description. Shout out to them. A couple of things happening. I don't have to explain Tesla 320 again, but I do have to mention 2 things on Circle and ETHA. So remember I said, we got to that top. If it shows me an exit, I'm going to take it. We did. At the same time that ETH put in this top and trailed back into that 50 zone that it blasted, Circle, for obvious reasons, I think, Circle caught a seller. There was size at 15, and it caught a seller as well. I never got the add to the position, but it looks like a consolidation level right now on Circle. A bit tricky up at this high, because if it loses the bid, you can easily drop down into 208, 209. That's like $5. So I took the scalp trade. When ETH took me out, we rang the register there. I rang the register on Circle as well. But Tesla did come into 320. There's 320. There's your wick high. There's a short at 319 and a half. I'm looking for the volume weighted average price here on Tesla. We got it last time, but remember, Tesla is a strong stock in a rebounding market. So yes, it got to my level, but I have to respect the tape. I have to respect what the market wants to do next. It came the last couple of times it's come into 320. It's given you the juice, but this is different. At the open, 320 fail. At the open, 320 fail. This time, we've just rallied higher lows and strength into this 320. That is not the same activity that we've had before. So if it can hold on to 318, I'll respect that. I will respect it. I will not be, I'm not going to add to this position unless it shows me lower highs and trend continuation. Like it did it before, where it showed you some lower highs where you can add to the short, but this is a one and done for me into the volume weighted average price on Tesla. If you're patient, sometimes you let the strong stock come to you. Why compromise on your setup for a short if the stock is trending long? It's the same thing. If you really like a long at a specific level, and the stock is trading down, let it get to your price because clearly it wants to trend to it at that moment. So we're into Tesla for the first time, rang the register on ETH and rang the register on Circle. I find myself for the first time today only in a short position in what has been, it's not like it's been a strong market, but let's go see what sectors are trying to bounce us here with Adara and Sector Watch.
There's only one that stands out to me here in terms of bouncing or already strong sectors. That would be health technology. Looking at some of these names here, I just pulled up some of the charts. Eli Lilly's been strong basically since the open. Johnson & Johnson also strong since the open here off of earnings. Amgen and AbbVie, 2 other larger weighted names in the sector, also doing really well. So health technology, pretty strong. Other than that, a lot of these sectors are kind of wavering. There's some notable weakness in producer manufacturing, specifically in these names that make chips, LRX, CX, and AMAT. This could potentially be due to the fact that ASML's forward guidance was a little bit weak. 2025 guidance, they're still expecting growth, but they're not quite sure about 2026. Consumer services pretty mixed here. Energy minerals weak across the board. We did about 10 minutes ago get those EIA numbers. Consumer durables mixed, but of course Tesla looking really good here, trying to lead the sector to the upside. Finance pretty mixed as well. BLK, nice day 2 earnings move to the upside. Coinbase, pretty recent member of this index, is actually to the upside here as well. But Morgan Stanley weak on day 1 earnings. Same with Bank of America. Then we get into electronic technology and technology services. These are both kind of mixed today. A lot of this, I've said this word quite a few times during the segment, but this whole market is pretty mixed. I do want to talk about electronic technology, though, because these chips are really weak, and that could be part of why this market is struggling today. Broadcom, Micron especially here, AMD, all to the downside this morning as we send you back to the guys.
Thank you very much, Dara. That 15-minute candle we were talking about, oh boy, Apple coming slamming back into VWAP. What a reversion that's happening, that's doing right now. So absolutely beautiful on that one. The gift that keeps on giving. Sometimes those supply and those demand zones, when they show up again, sure, they're not going to show up similarly every single day or every single time they come into it, but again, got to be looking for things that you want to see to get into the positions you want to get into as well. So again, getting a little bit better at doing that. As of right now, VWAP 211.11s, and guess what? We're trading just around that level right now on Apple. So beautiful reversion to VWAP happening there. Getting a little involved here in this Palantir, much lighter as the market pulls back in. We did come in and clip that 150 once again and pulling back. So let's see, is that a false break of that 150? I don't know, but we, again, morning highs all the way at those 150, 60s. Couldn't quite get to yesterday's high of day either. So again, ones to watch out for, but the market, those sellers, man, those sellers are coming in hot off of the open, and they're stepping right back in, currently going into the middle of the day as well. So yeah, NVIDIA with a nice downtrending push there. Again, we heard about Jensen being in China. It's today? Yeah, today's Wednesday.
Yep.
So yeah, today's the day that he's there, and I don't know, is this sell the news event? I have no idea, but it seems like the market itself is selling a little bit more aggressively than NVIDIA itself. But yesterday's low is coming in around that 69, heyo, that we talked about this morning. So let's see if that can potentially come in here on NVIDIA as well. And okay, so we got a super chat here from Pablo saying call in T. So I think you mean that's TELUS, right? Let me take a quick look.
No, that should be AT&T.
That's TNT. Yeah, TMUS is
it's TELUS in Toronto.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that's
T. The symbol in the TSX or the TMX is TELUS, but obviously
okay,
you're probably. I'm assuming you're talking about AT&T.
Yes, AT&T. Well, yeah, we're going to assume you're talking about AT&T here as that comes in. A little bit of a strong flush here. What is that coming in on? I guess that's a 4 a.m. candle here. So yeah, I don't know, man. Again, I just like to look at the charts and see how they're building up. Higher time frame, I think, is the best way to go, especially for bigger picture moves. You can see strong trend here. So yeah, I mean, I don't mind that. But again, the first thing I'm going to put on is maybe just a simple trend line to see, to define where I'm potentially, I guess, totally wrong here. So I think, again, looking at this trend, we've been holding since, I guess, April of 2024. Just that's the more local low here, where we start to step up a little bit faster. We can see that anchored, it's been holding anchored pretty well from this earnings report from the beginning of the year. That's anchored to January, if you guys see this green line right here. So you can see, yeah, sure, we kind of push deeply into and through it, and maybe holding some prior anchors as well. This anchor coming in from the earnings from the end of last year as well. So yeah, I think there's a bit of a range here, and then bigger picture trend line as well. So I think 25s, 26s, again, I don't know. I'm not going to give any sort of advice, but this is what the chart is showing, is what I can kind of talk about. So I don't know if you have any comments.
Sorry, though, I just had to. I've been staring down Tesla's tape because I said in the chat, this is not going to be the one that I give back on. The longs have been better, whether it's Circle, there's so many things that were strong this morning into the relative weakness, and when you to find ETH, Circle, and Unity, it's like, why give back? I know I like the 320 level, and you could have scalped it. That's fine. You absolutely could have scalped it, but it didn't follow through. But why give back shorting something when the jam that made money today was going long in the strong stocks and sitting it out on anything that looks super, super ridiculously trendy, which There was a moment when we lost the 320 twice where this looked like a perfect entry point that you break this channel and we're going right down in. That's what it looked like. And the buyers came right in off that prior high, zoomed, and once they did that, it's like, why even bother? You know this is too strong. Just get out of its way and look for the next opportunity. So obviously Tesla is continuing its trend higher. I'm not going to fight it. And it could go down from here, and if it does, congratulations to anyone that still likes that 320. It's 1046. I'm not going to rush to get back into anything, but I do want to point out, look, I've been focused. I went to Circle and ETH, but let's be real. Robinhood making a 52, oh, sorry, correction. Robinhood making an all-time high breakout. Ooh. Sometimes you get patterned into saying certain things on the show, but what I should say is correctly. All-time high breakout in Robinhood. Why anything crypto-related is getting a fantastic bounce. Also remember, a couple of days ago, when we had, a couple of sessions ago, when we had that note from JPM about fintech names having payment processors having to pay up for data, that was walked back a bit. There was some criticism saying it's not going to be as big of a deal, and then you had a nice consolidation for Robinhood during all of that. Then it got the dump yesterday on the crypto bill. So what? Trap some more shorts around the same level as that JP Morgan headline, and then it breaks out the top today. This was where you wanted to be when it came to the strength. It was that trap short in everything that flushed on that crypto bill failing that was gapping higher. You trapped new shorts and you broke out the top. I don't care whether, maybe not IBIT. You know what, maybe not IBIT. It's just not doing anything, man. I don't know what to tell you. I love Bitcoin. I own almost exclusively Bitcoin when it comes to my long-term holdings in anything crypto related. So this is what I want to be moving today, but it's not. And that's sort of the thing. Like you can, and that's why yesterday, for the first time ever, I decided to trade ETH. And then today, for the second time, I decided to trade ETH because you've got to go, you have to be in the things that are strong at this point. Tesla's trying to break that 320. Unity's on VWAP, I'm hearing. Really? Okay. Well, not yet. No, it's not. I just looked up. I'm like, Unity's not a VWAP yet. But it is getting there. So last time I got trailed out of Unity early, I want to see if I can get another leg going. What I don't necessarily love about it as much as I did early is it was relatively strong when I was buying the dips on it. Now you've got a difference in that the market is trying to show strength and it's pulling back. So it's going a little counter trend from what it was doing before, which is fine. It's sort of, that just tells me it's doing its own thing. So what I want to see here is, are we going to hold the trend line or are we going to bounce off VWAP? And I don't need to, this is the time of day you want to be patient with your entry points. At the open, you can get aggressive and sometimes sloppy with something that you know can go, but this isn't the time to do it. So I'll be very patient with this entry, with this level. Just living, I want to answer this question, then I'll get to this GameStop here. Darwin asking about it as well. But Tesla, you're not shorting because the news, or more, oh, you want to know why I got out of the short? I just felt it was too strong. I made a judgment call for myself that in this moment, based on what I saw here at about 318, 319, the trend was too strong, so I just got out. It's technically flat. I made a small amount on it because I might have made like 10 cents on the trade, but to me, it was getting out flat because I felt too much strength, and I want to see more. I needed to see more to convince me that this is the right thing to do to short the 320 on Tesla when it's so strong and the market's coming back into the upside. So I just decided I didn't want to lose there. Like not on that trade, not in that particular moment. I might come back to it when it looks better. This game is really, I don't have any puns for it, but it's going again. We saw this before. Let me get that futures chart out of the way. We saw this the last few sessions ago when it broke out. Well, I got pulled back. I'm like, yeah, whatever, that thing's done. Because it pulled back, found support, and then yesterday it rinsed that support. So you figure it's done. I did not see this in the aftermarket break out. I feel like if I had done the aftermarket show last night, maybe I would have noticed this, but wow. So it does the pullback, holds, liquidity grabs underneath that 160 support level and breaks it out in the aftermarket. If you're a small cap trader, that's a great look because you've gotten some early longs out. You've probably got some shorts initiated in here as well. And some of them might not have covered because that was an aftermarket move. All of a sudden, you wake up in the morning, and this is at 220, and it's breaking. That said, remember the high from yesterday, or from previously, was 280. So I don't know how much more you want to give it before you be ringing the register on game. But that's a bit of a miss. Like, you like a liquidity grab like this for a long, especially when it immediately gets bought back up, and you can take the long breaking out over $2. Let's go to Adara. Get it, Adara.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, keep an eye here on this U.S. dollar. This is the 30-minute chart, and I mean, look at this uptrend. However, we have to put everything in context. The daily chart is still very much removed from these highs, but we're almost breaking out of this downtrend. I think we need to break this 99.5 level. This is the high that we made on June 23rd. If we break out of that level, it looks like we really will start to make these higher highs, which is what we need to break out of this very rough look for the DXY. I do want to mention as well here the CME FedWatch tool. We know that today we had commentary coming from Kevin Hassett, who is the current National Economic Council leader, and he's also seen pretty heavily as a potential candidate to take over as Fed chair, to be appointed by Trump as the new chair of the Fed when Fed Chair Powell's term ends. Today, Kevin Hassett said that the Fed has been very, very slow with rates and that inflation is fine. It does not look, though, necessarily like we have that agreement when it comes to the FedWatch tool, because even for September now, we've gone from a 60% chance of a 25 basis point cut down to about a 54% chance. So now it's a bit more of a 50-50 as to whether we get that cut. For July, it is absolutely not 50-50. 97.5% of participants are expecting no change in rates. So July seems like a lock. Let's see if September gives us any surprises. Back to you.
I agree with you, Professor Love. A rise in the dollar can't help U.S. stocks. That is traditionally the play. But you know the types of stocks that don't need any help from the market, from the dollar, or for any kind of higher level macro news? Ali G in the chat.
Hey-o.
Big ups to Ali G. Big up to my.
Big up.
Yo, I love Ali G. E-Stain's massive. What about SBET and BMNR? Those stocks don't care. Well, I mean, in a general sense, they don't care what's happening. Look, everything does care about the economy and all blah, blah, blah. Obviously, a big enough move in rates, a big enough move in the dollar. In this particular case, a big story that could hit regarding crypto legislation. Of course, those things matter. You see what I'm getting at, though, is that the market's trying to go, and SBET is already going. I'll get to BMNR in a quick little second as well, but SBET breaking those highs. It's interesting that, like, I for the life of me, I'll be honest with you. I actually think that move in SBET is disappointing, because look at the move in ETH. Like, ETH really went. Like, you saw that gave us, like, from the 24, that gave you 3 points, and whoa.
Yeah, some's coming
now it's starting to sell in. But it wasn't that big of a move in ETH.
Oh, my God.
So that's what just happened on the Nasdaq. Sorry, guys. I'll finish that in a quick little second. But you just had a heavy sell candle in the Nasdaq. You just had a heavy sell in NVDA. I just saw, like, all the bids just started dropping in one moment. I mean, I wasn't even in any longs, and I could see that on the tape and everything I was looking at. So I didn't hear anything in my ear. Adara will come in if there's something in a quick little second. I just heard her jump off the desk. Let's go right to Adara. Big sell action there.
I want to read this report to get more details, but I'll read the headline for now. CBS apparently reporting that lawmakers are saying that Trump has indicated he will fire Fed Chair Powell. Now, I think a huge caveat is he's been saying he'd fire Powell for a while, and there's been no action on that. Then he'll go back and say he won't. So I think this is really, really key. But again, apparently CBS is reporting that lawmakers have said that Trump's indicating interest in firing Fed Chair Powell. Furthermore, apparently he asked Republican lawmakers whether he can or should dismiss the Federal Reserve Chair. So that's a slightly different tone. I am going to be looking here for more information on this report, because right now I'm only seeing the headlines. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Adara. Yeah, no, that selling came in pretty aggressively, and I was like, whoa, what's going on there? So that Palantir coming slamming right back down into 149 as well. Yeah, that was aggressive. And yeah, I'm questioning, is this another taco trade? I have no idea, but that flush coming in real hot and getting bought right back up. Oh boy. So the question becomes, do I get right back into Apple here or not? I don't know. I'm going to let some of this action start to dissipate. These candles are absolutely crazy. Let us know, Adara. What's up?
Yeah, I found this article, and I want to clarify. Apparently, it did come out at 10:52 a.m., but when you just see it on Google, it says 3 days ago. So I think this is brand new, but the 3 days ago aspect is a little odd. I'm still reading through the report. I want to get more details, but either way, again, so when you Google it, before you click on the link, it says 3 days ago. On the actual report itself, it says this was released at 10:52 a.m. today. So a bit odd. I'm going to read through this report quickly and provide more information, likely on the midday show. So stay tuned for 11 a.m. if you want to hear all about it and hear my deep dive. Back to you.
So you've got some pretty interesting, we only have about 3 minutes to go, pretty interesting candles. Like Apple, which Obi was showing you, is trying to hold, if this closes holding VWAP and breaks back out, then the taco trade seems confirmed to me. NVIDIA, I tried, this is my only loss today, was trying NVIDIA on a trend break. Look at this candle, all the way down to 169.30, but couldn't get back through the 170. I mean, if this, to me, it was breaking trend. It was breaking day trend again. So now if it takes out 170, it would be the taco trade for sure on NVIDIA. So I'm going to have my eyeballs here on NVDA. As, again, with only 3 minutes to go, can he fire him? Can he not fire him? Doesn't matter. Trade the price action. Tesla got back to 320 in a very slight pullback. That remains incredibly strong. ETH goes right back into the highs as that it just continues to churn. Higher and higher and higher. But you're at a decision point here for the Nasdaq. Are we retaking the lows on some big stocks, or are we breaking out this range high? You break out the range high, then the taco trade to me has some confirmation. And of course, that's just I didn't coin it. It's just Trump always chickens out, like somebody else said it, and we just kind of roll with it because it makes essentially if there is news that tanks the market from the president, then it's buy the dip. Essentially, that's what the essence of that is. So if you hear us say taco trade, then that's really what we're talking about here. If you bought it on the candle, great. But now that it's already made that move down, I have to wait to see what is next. But it's also 10:58.
Oh boy.
So I want to remind everybody, especially because I know Joe wants to know what this is. This is not going to be a lunch that I think we get excited about. But before we find out what's for lunch, we've got more at the desk from Adara.
Oh,
hopefully
boy.
good. Hopefully good.
I just read through this report, and as I indicated when I read the headline, there's really nothing new here. We do have Fed Chair Powell, of course, Donald Trump wanting to fire him, but not able to fire him. So there's really, read through this report, there's absolutely nothing new. We also know, in case you guys didn't know, the Supreme Court has actually ruled that they're not even sure he can fire him. They've commented that. So the likelihood of this being legally challenged, if it does happen, is incredibly high. There are, again, a lot of these sources here are people from the Trump administration who've already said they are interested in Powell getting fired. So I think the bias and where this is coming from is really important as well. Apparently, though, the new aspect of this is, I guess on Tuesday night, we know that Trump was visiting with these Republican lawmakers to get support for the crypto bills. Apparently, he made some comments to these lawmakers yesterday night during this. They basically, apparently, they were interested in firing him. Again, nothing new. We know he wants to do this firing, but the difference is apparently these lawmakers were saying to CBS that Trump said he 100% will fire Powell. Now, previously he said he wants to, but he doesn't think he can. Yesterday, he also said about Powell, you talk to the guy, it's like talking to nothing. It's like talking to a chair. No personality. So, yeah, those comments came out yesterday. Again, I just wanted to kind of give you guys a quick recap because I read through the article. It doesn't seem like anything huge or imminent as of right now. Back to you.
So much there. Worth noting, I saw this in the chat, and shout out to everyone that pointed this out. It was Afua, good brand in the chat, pointing out that finally, all morning long, it was ETH and other things related. Biggest volume candle of the day was actually confirmation to the upside. Bitcoin or IBIT finally breaks out. We did get above the 119 level, so big time movement there for Bitcoin. And it's the first time that it actually looked relatively strong and it held up that strength for now. I think you still wanted this to settle down. It's new news. I'm not going to rush into anything. I want to tell you guys what was for lunch. I'm not overly excited about this. Grilled herb chicken, roasted baby potatoes, braised cabbage and carrots. It's a very vanilla, like bland, or like, we got grilled herb chicken, and then roasted baby potatoes, braised cabbage and carrots. Like it's a very like average
basic
lunch. This guy wants to go for brisket. I'm getting a salad anyway, so like my salad's gonna have chicken almost for sure. You see Obi's face when Randy said brisket, so I know what you want to do over there. But what everyone wants to do is stay tuned because we're going to the Bash Brothers. We'll be back at 2 o'clock, everybody. It is Joey Options.
Yes.
Professor today, Professor Sharif as well. Go get him, boys.
Yeah.
What the heliante? What the heliberry? Boom! Greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show. Right there is your boy Joey Options.